Happy May, everyone. Can you believe it's already May? May is freaking here, Diesel. I am excited that May is here.
I don't like it, Cole. This is the month I turned 40. I don't like it.
Oh,
it's
old
official.
Man Diesel's getting older.
Away, 3 weeks away.
Happy May. We'll be able to celebrate with some tacos in a few days from now.
It's not so bad.
Cinco de Mayo, right? I like it. I like May because we are now 3 months away. Yes, we all know that we are entering the dead part of the year. We know that. But as Diesel said yesterday with NIL, you have to go through the rough to get to the good. You've got to go through the bad times to get to the good times. 3 months away, Diesel, from college football. Before you know it, we'll blink and it will be here. So
25% of the year away.
I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic, man. College football 3 months away. We're gonna talk it up in talking season. Talking season.
This is when all the fun tidbits start coming out. You know, you got to dig a little bit deeper. You got to work just a little bit harder. But this is when you and I get to have some fun. You know, we get to relax, stretch our legs out a little bit, talk about some weird random things. And we get to get deep into the weeds of what's going on inside these programs. Some of them more secretive than others. Some of them they're willing to talk a little bit. Deion Sanders, he talks a lot. We're going to get into what's got him
not
in
Deion.
hot water again.
Yep.
Coming up at 3:20.
I love it. I love talking season. I love leading up to college football season. It is one of my favorite times of the year. As I told you many a times, Diesel, I love anticipation. I'm an anticipation kind of guy. I like Fridays because you anticipate the weekend. I like the summer months because you anticipate the college football season that is just now 3 months away. So we're going to give you a little college football today right off the bat. We're going to have a little fun, play a little game, and we invite you to play along as well. How can you do so? You can text in anytime, 71307. Start your text with the word fan. The Renewal by Anderson fan phone lines are open as well during this first segment, 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. Diesel, we're going to play a little game, and we are going to look at some notable teams, some good teams, as well as some bad teams. And I am going to allow you to guess the over-under set by Vegas for each team. After you guess that, we'll tell the audience. You'll tell me. I'll tell you if we agree, if we think they're going to go over, our early leans on all this, okay?
I like these types of segments, Cole, because I don't have to do anything. You tell me, don't look these up
I love
online.
It's fun. It's a little guessing game. So we're going to start with the worst team in the SEC, okay? So you're going to guess what Vegas set the total over-under at total wins, for total wins on the year, okay? This is going to be very amusing right off the bat because, as I said, we're starting with Vandy. So regular season wins for the Vanderbilt Commodores, Diesel. This one's comical. That's a hint. What do you say?
So I'm just going to go based on reputation. I haven't looked in to their schedules to see exactly who all of these teams are playing.
Sure.
And I don't have enough time to be able to do that for each and every one of these throughout this segment. But, okay, I'm cheating a little bit. I do have Vanderbilt's schedule up. Alcorn State, Georgia State. They got Ball State, and who's the other out of conference on their schedule? Virginia Tech.
Okay.
I'm going to say they're setting the over-under for Vanderbilt at 2.5.
You would be correct.
Yes.
2.5 is also.
They'll get Alcorn State. They'll beat Ball State. I think they'll lose to Georgia State, even with the first year of a new head coach down there in Atlanta.
Spur Daddy also guessed it correctly on the stream. So congratulations to him. Diesel, you got it right. 2.5. That's very impressive, right? I mean, come on. We're talking about 2.5 wins for Vanderbilt. You just read off their non-conference. Do they get to 2 wins, Diesel? Read me the non-conference again for Vandy.
The non-conference for Vandy was Saturday, August 31st. They'll play Virginia Tech. That is at Vanderbilt. What are they going to play in? The parking lot? I mean, the stadium has been demolished.
I don't know.
Where are they going to play? I understand that that a whole side of the stadium has been torn down, but that the field should be okay to play on.
Jeez.
I mean, they're tearing down half the stadium. That's going to cost them what, 12, 13 fans in attendance?
If that.
So they're gonna wake up and try to auto renew their tickets, and they'll get the bounce back. It says, sorry, your seats have been demolished.
So you got that one right, 2.5.
Yeah, that one's a loss. Alcorn State in Nashville at home, that's a win. On the road at Georgia State, September 14th, that's a loss. And then versus Ball State at home, that's a win.
All right, next up. Next team I'm going to throw out here is a good one. It's a good team. Diesel, over-under set for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Oh, man. Again, with that, now we're not going to
not looking at schedules
here. I'm going to say they're setting that over-under at 10.5. Yes.
10.5. You got it right. 10.5 for the Georgia Bulldogs. You are 2-0 on the day. And you're not cheating, right?
Not cheating.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is not cheating. So Georgia set at 10.5. Let's go next. Notre Dame fighting Irish.
Notre Dame playing the quasi-ACC schedule, playing USC.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that Notre Dame's over-under is set at 8.5. Oh, man.
10.5.
10? What?
10.5.
What?
For Notre Dame in 2024.
I mean, I know the expectations are high.
Spur said 9.5. No, Spur, you were one off. 10.5 for Notre Dame.
Who do they play? They got Texas A&M, Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
Louisville, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, Florida State, Virginia, Army. Okay, so
they don't play anybody. I didn't hear any losses there. Did you? Seriously.
I mean,
maybe A&M?
They're losing to A&M.
You think so?
Beat Northern Illinois.
I don't know, man.
Beat Purdue.
Is that A&M game the first of the year?
It is the first game of the year.
So that's their only test.
They'll beat Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
Louisville, that's a question mark. I think they'll beat Louisville. Stanford's a win. Georgia Tech's a win. Navy's a win. Wow.
That's it.
I mean,
I go over.
Florida State's a big question mark at this point, but I still think they'll win that game. They kind of got lucky. Some of these teams that typically are pretty good are down right now. A&M is down with a new coach. Florida State is down with a completely new roster.
A new roster for sure.
USC, pretty good. Should be, maybe. Who knows what they're going to have without Caleb Williams? But
I'll be honest with you.
Virginia.
I like. I know Hartman's gone. I know Sam Hartman was a big piece of their offense before he graduated, Diesel. But I'll tell you what, man, I like the over there. I really do.
Over.
Yeah,
you're a gambling guy.
Yeah.
It depends on what the odds are of hitting that over. I mean, that's tough.
It's plus 10.5. Yeah, 10.5. That's a lot of wins. All right, next. The Horned Frogs of TCU. Diesel, their over-under is?
I'm going to say, just wild guess here, TCU's over-under is going to be set at 9.5.
7.5.
7.5.
So TCU must have some quality competition.
They're playing something called an LIU. I don't know what.
Who?
LIU.
LIU. Never heard of.
LIU Sharks. It's an FCS school.
Oh, that's an easy dub, right?
Where is LIU?
Spur Daddy, by the way, guessed that one right on the head. He said 7.5 for TCU. He hit
LIU.
I've never heard of LIU.
Long Island University.
How about that?
Come on, that doesn't sound real. Bishop Sycamore sounds more real than
who's
LIU
tough?
Sharks.
What tough games do they have on their schedule? TCU.
Okay, so the TCU football schedule. Let's bounce back here. Let's expand it so we can see the whole thing. They play at Stanford, at home versus LIU, UCF at home, SMU on the road, Kansas on the road, Houston at home, Utah on the road, Texas Tech at home, Baylor on the road, Oklahoma State at home, Arizona at home, Cincinnati on the road.
I hear 3 to 4 losses right there for TCU.
Yeah. I mean, I could see them losing to Houston. I could see them losing to SMU.
Potentially Cincinnati. Potentially.
Yeah.
All right. How about Diesel, the SEC? Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky, I'm going to take a wild guess and say Kentucky's over-under is set at 8.5.
You'd be wrong. You were on a hot streak. Now you're cooling off a little bit. You started off 2-0. Kentucky Diesel, 6.5.
What?
Vegas has set.
Kentucky's on a little bit of an upswing right now. They start at home versus Southern Miss. That's a win. They play South Carolina at home. We'll see.
Coin flip. That's a coin flip. That's exactly what it's called.
Georgia at home is a loss. Ohio at home, a win. Ole Miss on the road, loss. Vandy at home, win. Florida on the road, loss. Auburn, loss. Tennessee, loss.
I'll tell you this.
Good Lord. What did you say it was? 7.5?
6.5.
6.5? They got Murray State, Southern Miss, and Ohio on the schedule.
Listen,
that should be 3 guaranteed wins right there.
I'll tell you this. Jeez. I'm staying away from betting any money on Kentucky. I don't trust. 6.5 is there's too much wiggle room there. There's way too much that could happen.
I mean, I guess it's because, they expect Auburn to finally make strides this year. Auburn has been down, but, Hugh Freeze back. Maybe he turns them around. Ole Miss is a virtual lock for a loss. Georgia's a loss.
Yeah.
Florida, I don't know, man. Like
you could see them. You could see them winning 6.
I could see them. Did Kentucky lose a lot this offseason?
Must have. I'll tell you right now. I wouldn't say. Just hearing what you read off, I would say maybe 6 wins. I wouldn't bet the over.
Spur Daddy guessed the 6.5.
I think he's cheating.
Jeez.
He's guessed every one so far.
JD guessed 8.5 for Kentucky.
Way too many, JD. Yeah. Way too many.
I love taking my time on these a little bit, guys, so that those of you in the chat have an opportunity to guess before I get my answer out.
All right, next one. Staying in the SEC, the Florida Gators. What's their total?
Oh, man. Florida's schedule is brutal this year. Sorry, Gamecock fans, you don't get to boast that you have the hardest schedule.
Oh, no. They're going to. They're going to.
Argentina over that one.
They do every year.
Florida with one of the toughest schedules ever. I'm setting their over-under at 4.5. Dang.
You were close, though.
5.5.
5.5.
5.5.
5.5. I'll let you have that one. 5.5.
Wow, somebody's really high on Billy Napier turning it around this year.
No, they do have the toughest schedule. One of the toughest.
Yeah.
5.5's a stretch, though. Let's be honest.
5.5 is a stretch. I don't
know that they're winning. In order for them to hit the over, Diesel, they've got to win 6 games.
They better get the win at home versus Samford.
So let's do this. If they're going to win 6, if the over's going to hit, tell me 6 games are going to win.
They're going to beat Samford.
Okay.
They're going to beat Mississippi State, UCF.
Yeah, that's 3.
I think they're going to beat Kentucky.
Okay, 4.
They've got I'm going to say, just because there's so many question marks on the roster, I'm going to say they beat Florida State.
Ooh. Where's that game at?
That game is in Tallahassee.
I don't know. I might disagree with you there.
I know, but they're not beating Ole Miss. They're not beating LSU. They're not beating Texas. They're not beating Georgia. I already said Kentucky. They're not beating Tennessee.
You're at what, 5 wins?
I'm at 5. Maybe A&M. If they get A&M, that gives a 6.
That'd be a big win there. I mean, I'm
trying to score some points with Madcraft here and say Miami is going to beat Florida in Gainesville. That's the first game of the season for the Florida Gators. Miami at home.
You know what that reminds me of?
See, Madcraft, don't say I don't ever say anything nice about you.
I'll tell you what that game reminds me of. It kind of reminds me of like this past year for South Carolina. Like I looked at the South Carolina North Carolina game to start the season as this is gonna kind of dictate how the season goes. For Florida, if you lose to Miami, I don't think you're winning 4 games. I mean, I really don't. If you lose to Miami, you may win 4 games the rest of the year. Yeah. It's going to be tough. All right, next team, the Longhorns of Texas.
The Texas Longhorns making their SEC debut this year without looking at the schedule.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Texas was really good last year.
Still have Quinn Ewers.
I'm saying that Texas is over and under is set for 9.5. Don't tell me it's 10.5.
It's 10.5.
No way.
It's 10.5. Las Vegas has Texas over-under wins set at 10.5. So if you take the over, you're at minus 105. If you take the under, you're at minus 125. So
they've got Colorado State at home. That's a win. Michigan on the road. To start the second week of the season. But, I mean, Michigan's been gutted by the draft and by Jim Harbaugh leaving. They host UTSA. They host UL Monroe. They host Mississippi State. Good Lord, who set up the schedule for them?
Here's what's wild. Not the 10.5, but the over 10.5 is favored right now.
What?
Yes. I mean, minus 105.
I mean, I get that Colorado State, UTSA, and Monroe are 3 easy wins.
Yep.
You got them all at home. But Michigan on the road, there's probably enough left on that team to give Texas a hard time.
You would think.
Based on the virtue that it's in Ann Arbor, I think that they will give them a game. I think Texas still wins that game. So that's 4 right there. But then it's Oklahoma, Georgia, Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas A&M.
6. I heard 6 wins of those last ones you just read off. So 6 plus.
I said they were going to win the first 4.
So that's 6 plus 4 is 11. There's over 10.
It's 10.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's great math. Great math. That's under then. That's under. You said originally they win 4 off the bat, right?
Yeah. I do have them winning at Michigan.
Let me make sure I did that right. Started Oklahoma again.
Oh, okay. So 4-0 to start the season.
Sure.
Then they got Mississippi State.
Okay.
Do you have that as win?
Win.
Oklahoma.
Win.
Georgia.
Loss.
Vanderbilt.
Win.
Florida.
Win.
Arkansas.
Win.
Kentucky.
Win.
A&M.
Win.
That's 11.
That's 11 wins. That's what I thought.
That's 11 wins.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I haven't won in 7. No, I haven't won in 7 after those 4. So yeah, that'd be 11.
I think Steve Sarkisian has figured it out. He's doing well with his 12-step program, and Sarkisian is not going to stumble anymore. I think he knows the situation he's in. He's got it humming. And I think Texas has a really good year this year.
What's wild is that they're the over 10.5 is favored. That's unbelievable. Okay, Ohio State, the Buckeyes.
Ohio State, we're going to have to go rapid fire through some of these.
Yep.
Ohio State, I'm saying they are at 10.5. Yes.
Got that one right. Congratulations. That's your 3rd or 4th win of the day.
That's my 3rd.
Okay. Alabama Crimson Tide, baby.
With a new head coach, I think Alabama's going to slip a little bit. I'll bet you they've set the over-under at 9.5.
You're on a little hot streak now.
There you go.
Little hot streak, Diesel.
Woo.
So you're 4 wins now. Let's go to Oregon. How about the Ducks?
Oregon's going to losing their quarterback, but they're retaining their head coach. Oregon, I'm going to say their over-under is set at 9.5.
10.5.
Wow.
10.5 for the Ducks.
Big.
Auburn,
7.5.
got that one right. 7.5. I don't know, man. That's an interesting one for me. It really is. 7.5 for Auburn. Without looking at their schedule, I might would go over. Okay, who's next? Florida State?
8.5.
Florida State. Let me find it. 9.5 for the Noles, who lost their entire roster.
Yeah, lost the entire roster, including the backup quarterback. I mean, if they can hit the over, when they're replacing their entire roster, is that more or less impressive than what Dan Hurley did at UConn, winning a national championship after replacing over half of his starting 5?
It's a great question.
Whew.
I would say it's very similar. However, being in the ACC does help, right?
That's true.
It does help a little bit, but it's a great question. All right, who's next on that one?
North Carolina.
North Carolina Tar Heels.
Come on and raise up. Give me 7.5.
8.5 for the Tar Heels.
30 years of systematic academic fraud.
All right, who's next?
Texas A&M. I'm going 7.5 for A&M.
8.5.
Jeez, I'm down on all these teams.
You got cold. Yep. All right, is that it?
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
I'm gonna go 9.5.
Way off. 7.5.
Wow.
For Brent Venables and the Sooners, baby.
Brent V falling off in Oklahoma.
That's wild.
Clemson is next. I'm going to say Clemson's over-under is 10.5. Don't tell me it's 8.5.
9.5.
9.5.
9.5 for the Clemson Tigers. So Vegas has Clemson winning.
I'd gone low. I got spooked there.
You did get spooked
3 times in a row, so I went one higher than I expected.
Real quick on Clemson, 9.5. Just first gut reaction to Vegas setting it at 9.5. Would you go over or under there, realistically?
I would, if I was betting, I would take the over.
I probably would too.
I would bet the over.
I probably would too.
But let's see. Let's look at their schedule. Clemson's got Georgia, App State, NC State, Stanford, Florida State, Wake Forest, Virginia, Louisville, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Citadel, and South Carolina.
I'd go over.
So where am I finding the losses on the schedule?
I said 9.5, right?
Yeah. Georgia, likely a loss.
Oh, it is a loss. Georgia's a loss. So that leaves you one more loss.
Leaves me one more. I'm saying they will lose to.
You get one more, but you can't have 2 more. If you go 2 more, it goes under.
I didn't see that their schedule was this soft.
Yeah. Maybe Stanford, maybe coin flip game.
Stanford's not.
You don't think they'll be
not even close?
You don't think they'll be close?
No, I don't. I'm going to say NC State.
Maybe
NC State is the other loss.
South Carolina
at home, so I'm not. Who knows? Maybe Lenore Sellers. Maybe Florida State figures it out by mid-season. I don't know.
All right, we're saving the best for last here.
South Carolina.
What do you say, Diesel?
Over under.
Think about
South
this now.
Carolina.
Think about this. Ooh.
When I start with an F sound, 5.5. Yeah.
5.5 is what.
I mean, it sucks for South Carolina, but I'm happy that I'm right.
You got it right. I think you won 5 or 6. Vegas has South Carolina over under regular season wins set at 5.5.
I got 7 of these correct. 7 out.
Not bad. That's not bad. You can play in the MLB.
7 out of 17.
Yeah, you could play.
That's pretty good.
You can play for the Braves right now.
Hitting at like a 400 clip, man. I'm doing good. I got right. Vandy at 2.5, Georgia 10.5, Ohio State 10.5, Alabama 9.5, Auburn 7.5, Florida State 8.5, and South Carolina 5.5.
I would go right now under on South Carolina. I hate to be that guy. I really do. I hate to be that guy, Diesel, but I'm going under right now. If I had a guess.
Carolina's football schedule under 5.5 wins. Old Dominion's a win. Kentucky on the road.
I say win.
A coin flip, but I'll give you the win on that one. LSU's a loss. Akron's a win. Old Miss is a loss. Alabama's a loss. Oklahoma, I don't know. Maybe you think you lost, guaranteed loss to Venables. Venables going to punk South Carolina again.
Yeah.
A&M is a win.
You think? You think so?
I'm giving them a win for A&M.
That'd be 4.
Vanderbilt makes 5. You're not beating Missouri. Sorry, Eli Drinkwitz.
You don't think so?
You. Wofford is a win. Clemson's a loss. That's 6. I've got them at 6.
You're over then.
You're
over, man. You did it.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
I like it.
Cole, when we come back, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, has got himself in hot water again. But here's the thing. I'm with Deion on this. I think Deion's in the right, but the internet is crucifying Prime. We'll talk about why and see how you, the Tolos, feel about it. Coming up next here on Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate. Cole, remember when Prime said, if you're going to get in the portal, go ahead and get in?
Yeah.
Because I'm bringing my luggage, and it's Louis.
Sadly, I do remember that.
He was talking about all the players that he was planning on bringing in via the transfer portal in his first season in Colorado. And there was going to be a lot of guys on the roster who were there for the lean years, and they weren't going to have a place. They weren't going to be on this team anymore because they just weren't good enough. They simply did not have what it took to be on this team anymore. And the media crucified him for it.
They did.
Like, this is the era of the transfer portal, right? I mean, I would rather a coach tell me, hey, look, you've been working hard. You've been here 2 years, but I'm sorry.
Things aren't
going to work out. You're probably not going to get past number 3 on the depth chart. Go ahead and get in the transfer portal. If you want to play, go ahead and get in the transfer portal. I would rather know that.
Me too. I would too.
Because then, like, what if I love Colorado? What if it's been my lifelong dream to play football for Colorado?
You have issues.
Well, yeah, true. Maybe you're a legacy.
I'm kidding.
Maybe you're a legacy on the team. I don't know. But, like, I would rather know so that, hey, I could transfer to San Jose State and play.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a football player. I don't want to be a practice player. I want to be a football player.
Sure.
And so Deion told a player, his name is Xavier Smith, to transfer. And Xavier Smith got his feelings hurt. Xavier Smith posted on social, I was actually getting mad. This is a quote from Xavier Smith on social. Quote, I was actually getting mad, like tears coming to my eyes because, bro, you never even tried to get to know me. He was destroying guys' confidence and belief in themselves. The way he did it, it could have been done with more compassion. XS.
Wow.
Xavier Smith. So Deion told Xavier Smith, son, we're sorry.
Yeah.
We don't think you're going to play for the Colorado Buffaloes. Go ahead and get in the transfer portal. And then he didn't. He said, you know what? I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay here and see what happens. And he didn't get to play. He never got the reps that he wanted. And then he posts this sad sack quote saying that Deion never tried to get to know me. And he was destroying guys' confidence and belief in themselves.
So I'll say this about that quote. Deion is old school guy.
Yep.
He is an old school guy that coaches an old school way.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that if you talk to any coach in today's era of sports, they'll tell you, you have to be able to coach different players different ways. Mm-hmm. Whether you agree with that, whether you believe that's a haka, you know what, that is how you have to coach because we do live in a different world. Everybody can't take the old school, tough love coaching mentality that Deion was brought up in. So Deion's not going to ever, Diesel, switch and start coaching a new way. And again, I'm not saying it's bad, but he is always, in my mind, he is always going to be the tough coach.
Well, coaches don't owe players and their fragile egos anything.
No.
It is a coach's job, Cole, to get the best possible team he can get.
I agree with that.
To try to go out and win games. So coaches want to run off the weak-minded players. Coaches want to run off the less talented players so that they can make room for the more talented and tougher-minded guys. And now, in the transfer portal era, these players have more freedom than they've ever had.
Sure.
Like, back in the day, Xavier Smith would have either had to transfer down to an FCS. Ultimately, he did to Austin Peay. But he would have had no other choice but to transfer to an FCS if he wanted to play immediately. Or he'd have to transfer and sit out for a year. Let's say he transfers to, I don't know, Arizona. He would have to sit out for a year. But coach told him, sorry, kid, you're probably not going to play. Go ahead and get in the portal. He didn't get in the portal. And then he still
That's
didn't
his
play.
fault. That's his fault.
He was told, Xavier Smith was told the truth.
Yeah.
That he was not going to play.
I don't have any issue with that.
And then he still tries to put his coach on blast.
I think that I would agree
Soft.
with you in the sense of Deion being in the right. If Deion told the kid, hey, look, you're not going to play, go ahead and get in, he covered his butt. Deion did, right? So any backlash that he may get because of that, he's covered. He's already came out and said, look, you're not going to play, go ahead and transfer. Listen, I get from the kid's perspective, Diesel, I get wanting to stay and be committed. I understand. But at what cost? At what expense do you continue to put an effort and time into a program and a team where you've already been told, I'm going to be honest with you, if I'm that kid and if I'm in his shoes and I'm told you're not going to play, you're not even, I'm gone. Like, I'm not even thinking twice about it.
Yeah.
Like, where's the door? I'm not playing
to be recruited by Colorado.
And my mentality is, if you tell me I'm not good enough to play, well, guess what? You've given me a chip on my shoulder. Yeah. I'm going to go somewhere and prove that you were wrong. That's the way I think about it.
If you tell me I'm not going to play, it really depends on the mindset of the individual. Either you're saying to yourself, I am going to work so damn hard and prove you wrong, coach.
Yeah, that's the way.
Because I want to be here, because I love it here at Colorado. I've never dreamt of being anywhere else but Colorado. I only love gold and black. That's the only two colors that I have in my wardrobe. Or you could make the smart decision and go play somewhere else.
It would be.
Ask any coach, Cole. They would rather have somebody with a 6 talent level and a 10 work ethic than have somebody with a 10 talent level and a 6 work ethic. My guess here is that Xavier Smith had about a 6 talent level and about a 6 work ethic. He never said, I'm going to work so friggin' hard that coach will have no choice but to put me in. Put me in, coach, on the scout team. You know, like you and I have both seen the movie Rudy. He comes in. There's no chance Rudy's going to play.
No.
In the movie, at least, he's Sean Astin. You telling me Samwise Gamgee is getting on the field for the University of Notre Dame? No. But he went out there and he worked his ass off for 2 full seasons, and he got into the game.
I do wonder, though, to play devil's advocate on this one, does there ever, for a player at Colorado that may hear that, does it ever cross their mind that maybe Deion is now playing a little reverse psychology game to where he wants you to hear that, but in reality, he wants you to work harder to prove to him that you're good enough to be on the field? That's where it's tough. Like, to me, if I'm the player, I already told you I'm gone. I'm not thinking about it that way. However, I don't know, did Deion 100% mean that? Did he 110% mean that the kid would never play? I hope he did. I don't like the reverse psychology stuff. I'm not a fan of it, especially in sports. I want to be honest, and I want you to be honest with me so that we're on the same page. Mm-hmm. And if I'm not a fit here, I'll leave. But if I do have a chance, I'm going to work harder, right, and beat somebody out. I just wonder if Deion has – I'm not blaming Deion. But coaching in this new era of college football, man, sometimes that I would bet that does happen.
Well, that's a double-edged sword. If you've got a guy that you think could be a very usable piece and you say that to him, you risk losing him. So that is an interesting, question, psychology game to see, who has the mental makeup to want to be on your team. But Cole, here's the follow-up to this. So I think you and I both agree that Deion is in the clear for the way he handled things. Now I want to know what your thoughts are on the way Shedeur handled things.
Shedeur.
He got into the mix,
okay,
and he posted, I don't even remember him. He was mid at best. I mean, it's probably true. It's probably true. He's a mid talent. But I don't think you got to say that out loud.
My instant reaction is that's a terrible look.
Yeah.
That's a terrible look for Shedeur.
So, I mean, look, we all heard all week that the reason why Spencer Rattler fell so far in the draft is because he was a punk in high school.
Yeah. And on a Netflix film.
On a Netflix film, and everything that's happened in between and the way he's changed means nothing.
Sure.
Shedeur Sanders is this close to going into the NFL. 1 season away by all accounts. Is this not a punk-ass move, too?
It is. It 100% is. And I'll tell you what, he'll get the benefit of the doubt because of his last name.
Of course.
He'll get the benefit of the doubt.
It's just the way he talks.
He's Prime son. And again, I like Coach Prime. I really do. However, I don't think you come out and say that you never even heard of the guy. Like, At some point, dude, you've got to be the bigger man. You've got to take the high road. This whole I keep receipts, like, let's be honest, Deion's personality, and I may get pushback for saying this, but Deion's personality and the high road, they don't really mesh, you know?
Well, that's what's interesting about him is at times he is on the lowest of the low road, man. He's down there crawling on his belly with the worms. And sometimes he'll take the high road and he's up there flying with the Eagles. And I can't figure out where this guy is. You know, on certain issues, he's super conservative as a coach, not politically. As a coach, very conservative. And sometimes he's very, very liberal.
Yeah.
He's very, very player focused. So I can't really ever figure out where Deion Sanders is coming from. But I mean, when you build your program on controversy the way Prime has at Colorado, these things are going to come up, and the microscope is going to be looking at this program even harder, trying to find cracks, trying to find anything.
I agree.
They can stick to Deion in a negative way.
Not a good look, though. I don't love the look not for Prime. I agree with you. I'm on Prime's side. If he told the kid to go, I'm on his side. But Shadora's son, not so much. I don't really ride with that. All right, Diesel, coming up next. Yesterday, the NBA early entry candidates were announced. Who, locally, was on that list, and what do the NBA projections say about him? As I teased, going out of the very last segment, yesterday, toward the end of the show, the NBA early entry candidates list was released. And Diesel, Clemson's star player, PJ Hall, was on the list as a early entry candidate.
So there's going to be no coming back for his 12th year option at Clemson.
I would say I would bet the no.
Is it so? At this point, PJ can't come back. Is that what it is?
No, he
can't.
can't.
Is this the testing of the waters to see where his draft?
Well, he
grade
tested
might
the waters
be?
last year, and he can. He actually has 1 year left if he wanted to come back.
So he's not hired an agent to this point. That's the cutoff.
I don't know if he has or not.
You can't hire an agent?
I'm not sure on that, but I'll tell you this. I noticed that PJ was on the NBA early entry candidates list, so I said, okay, let's see where PJ's projected to go. And I want to read a little scouting report on PJ. Hear what the NBA scouts are saying. Right now, Diesel, your instant reaction to PJ Hall being projected early in the second round of the NBA draft?
Just on principle, early second round.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I mean, most of the time, it's kind of the first 15, and then it's a bunch of also rans after that. So early second round, I don't know. I think that feels about accurate. I mean, I don't see him as a late second round. I don't see him as a third round guy. He's what, 6'10". He's got the size. He's got the ranginess.
He can shoot
from three. I think he's kind of exactly what the NBA is looking for. So I think that sounds about right. Honestly.
I do too. Michael on the stream asked, do you think he'll pull an RJ Davis? Well, RJ Davis 8 hours ago announced that he would return to North Carolina after his last All-American season for his 58th season at North Carolina. What it seems like for RJ Davis. Michael,
he's going to retire there one day.
Michael, I think PJ goes pro. I don't have any inside information. I think his draft stock is high enough. I think he does go pro. Again, that's just me guessing.
You got to look at it and say, can he really improve his draft stock that much?
It's a good question.
And is Brad Brownell the guy to do it? The guy to help him get into the first rounds?
And I think
another season get him into the first round. That's really all he's looking at. But I mean, we all know that PJ Hall is not going to be a top 10 draft pick. So does it really matter the difference between being an early second round guy and a late first round guy?
The money might.
The money
might. I'll say this to your first point. He had an incredible season last year. I think his draft stock now is as high as it's going to get. He got a national spotlight last year, obviously being in the Elite Eight. I don't think Clemson will be back in the Elite Eight this year. So I don't think he'll have the national attention and spotlight that he did so late in the year. I like him as an early second where he's projected to go. I think that's a really interesting spot for him. So
I look back at his stats.
Yeah.
And 2023-24 was his best scoring season. Averaged 18.3.
Led the team.
2022, he had 15.3. 21, he had 15.5. His minutes have kind of hovered. I mean, 21, he played 27 minutes a game, and then 25 minutes a game, and then 29 minutes a game.
Sure.
His field goal percentage has hovered right there in the high 40s, shot 53% in 2022. He was lights out in 2022 from three.
Yeah.
His free throw percentage was good. I mean, what did he not see projection wise last year that made him want to come back?
It could have been.
And then how much could he really improve it? If he's held steady there at scoring right around 16, 17, 18 points a game. And, do we see him becoming a 25-point a game guy if he's back at Clemson for another year? Not really.
It could have been a lot of things in terms of what drove him to come back. I wanted to look on a couple of NBA sites and see what the NBA scouts had to say about PJ. This one comes from the publication Inside the Thunder. This is an Oklahoma City Thunder scouting report on PJ Diesel. And this was I looked at a couple of mock drafts. One mock draft that I looked at did have the Oklahoma City Thunder selecting PJ. Another one had him going to the San Antonio Spurs at pick 46 in a trade with LA. The Inside the Thunder publication, when talking about his strengths and weaknesses, it said under his strengths, Hall is an offensive weapon in the post, ranking 86th in the 86th percentile on post-up attempts. So again, offensive weapon, post ranking, big man ranking in the 86th percentile on post-up attempts. He can work with his back to the basket, face up, or just flash through the lane to generate easy buckets. We saw that a lot this year. The Clemson forward is able to redirect passes to give his offense an advantage, even if he results in a hockey assist. Hall runs the floor well in transition, also can be used as a big man trailing the play, taking advantage of his outside shooting as defenders play too far back. Diesel, that's one of the things that I like about PJ's game is when defenders do play too far back, and you do see that in the NBA. People don't think you do, but you do. Defenders in the NBA, because I watch a lot of games, they do, especially in fast break opportunities and transition. Defenders in the regular season in the NBA get lazy and play back. And if PJ can shoot and that game translates to the NBA, I like it, man. I think that's a huge strength of Hall's game.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be a fairly complete player, and I think a lot of teams would love to put him on their roster. I mean, everything theirs is a positive. They didn't really have anything negative.
The only negative they said, Diesel, on the Thunder, Inside the Thunder publication was he can get too sped up around the rim, really hurting his ability to finish shots.
I saw that a lot. You and I commented on that a lot.
We did.
In the Alabama game, and I forget who they played the game before that. Who was it? Arizona. It wasn't Arizona. Whoever it was. We noticed.
It was Arizona.
It was Arizona. Yeah. We noticed that like PJ wasn't really shooting hook shots. It was just sort of a jump sideways, fade, push shot. Like it was a very out of control, quick, rushed shot. And if he took his time a little bit more, he either finds the outlet, finds a better opportunity, or he goes up, squares up, and has a better look at the basket. So we did see that quite a bit. I know you and I both commented on that. So yeah, I get that as a weakness. That's something that coaches can coach out of a guy.
They can. I think Diesel, for me, the biggest concern I'd have with PJ, and I'm not saying he couldn't get better at it, but in the NBA, how good of an overall defender can PJ be? He can improve at this, by the way. I've seen players in the NBA improve at this year after year. But as you play in space in the NBA, Diesel, there is a danger of getting drawn out on an island with some of the best scorers in the league, and you've got to be able to defend. Like you have to – you're talking about some of the best scorers in the NBA on the planet. When you get them out on an island, you've got to be able to defend them, man. And they can embarrass a lot of people doing that. Real quick, Matt Kraft says, I'm sorry, but PJ Hall got bullied when going against another quality big. The NBA won't be any easier. Matt Kraft, I disagree with that. We'll get back to it, though. We got to hit a break.
What do you think about the second round draft status for PJ Hall? 71307. Start your text with keyword fan. When we come back, Cole, we're going to look at all of the quarterbacks drafted this year in the NFL draft and try to figure out when these guys are going to become starters, if at all. We got a surprise on one big name that we think will actually start fairly early in his career. That's coming up next here on The Fan Upstate. Not a lot of surprises when it came to the quarterbacks drafted in the 2024 NFL draft. I mean, the big surprise, obviously, was that South Carolina's own Spencer Rattler fell all the way to number 150.
Sure.
I mean, it was a big surprise that there were 139 picks between Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler. That's a biggie for me.
And
That's
Michael
an odd
Penix.
one. And Michael Penix, I mean, Penix going early was not a surprise. Where he went certainly was.
That's true. That's true.
It seems to me that the Falcons are setting up for the future and may likely pull a Deion Sanders on Kirk Cousins and tell him, like, hey, Kirk, you're getting old.
You might want to hit the old portal.
I want to hit the portal. So go see if you can. We'll still give you your 90 mil. That's guaranteed. Don't worry. But go somewhere else. Fleece another team for a huge contract.
You know what would be interesting about that real quick? You remember how, I don't know if you remember exactly, but obviously me being a Cowboys fan, I do remember this vividly. Kellen Moore played for Dallas as a quarterback and then transitioned because of he was a brilliant offensive mind. Transitioned, quit playing a lot earlier than they wanted him, or than he wanted to, and became an assistant, then became the OC.
Does Kirk have any future,
I don't know,
in coaching?
Wonder if they could say 2 years down the road, hey man,
we'll help you get your coaching career.
Come in the office real quick. I gotta share something with you. You're doing a tremendous job with the X's and O's. Can we promote you?
Well, Kirk, can we get you to trade those football pants for some khakis?
Can we promote you to assistant coach? You're doing a fantastic job, man. Yeah. We think you'd make this team better.
We'll make you head coach in 4 years. Better watch out. Better watch out. How would your wife like to move to Dallas full time?
Oh,
yeah. So I wanted to look at the list of quarterbacks that were drafted, Cole, and see if we can predict when we think these rookie quarterbacks are going to start. And I'm talking about like being named the starter, right? Not starting due to injury or illness or whatever, right? There's a couple that are easy, but then there's a couple, Cole, that are a little up in the air. That there's some intrigue, there's some interest here. So we'll go down. There were, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's a shocker too. Only 11 quarterbacks taken in all 7 rounds. 11. That's it.
That is wild.
That's wild. I mean, you're used to seeing 9 of them go in the first round and a half, and then another 5 or 6, some depth guys down the line going in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds. So that shocks me. But so let's go through these 9 quarterbacks that were drafted.
Okay.
And see where and when we think they're going to start. Okay. The first couple of these are easy. Again, Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears, he went number 1. He's going to start immediately.
Sure.
He's going to be named the starter immediately. There's no confusion about what's happening there. Jaden Daniels to the Commanders, number 2. He's going to start immediately as well. Drake May to the Patriots. He's going to start immediately.
Unless something catastrophic happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking barring anything like that. Then the next one gets a little interesting, Cole. Michael Penix Jr., drafted by the Falcons, number 8. He's old. Kirk Cousins is old. Oh, man. When do we legitimately think that Michael Penix Jr. is going to be named the starter or could be named the starter for the Atlanta Falcons?
What year is what draft?
Yeah, what year? I'm going to say 2026. That would be 2 years from now, going into the 2026 season. Kirk's going to get he's going to get his 90 mil guaranteed. That's half the money that he's on contract for. He's going to get it. I think Kirk, who's already 40, I'm kidding. He's what, 33, 34?
Something like that.
I think Kirk probably goes 2 more seasons.
So you say 2 years from now.
2 years from now, Michael Penix Jr. Going into week 1 of the 2026 season.
Yeah.
Will be the confirmed starter.
I'll give you my answer, but I'll ask you a question about yours. Are you basing that off of Kirk not playing well or injury or both?
I'm basing that off of I think Kirk will retire.
Okay.
I don't think Kirk's going to go his full 4 years in Atlanta. He's going to make a ton of money. He's going to ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And go ahead and retire.
I could see it.
So I think 2026 may be a tad early. Maybe Kirk goes 3 out of his 4 years on his deal.
I'll go 2027 just to be different.
Okay.
And by the way,
I did write down 2026 at the earliest.
Most
more
likely.
like 2027.
Yeah. And by the way, just a quick programming note. We'll ask this question in about 20 minutes from now, as we're joined again this week by Hometeam Brandon Leak from 680 The Fan in Atlanta. I said earlier in the week, Diesel, I wanted to get his reaction. We had him on Thursday, but we didn't know we were going to have him on this week because we didn't know this was going to happen.
Yeah.
So we'll ask him that as well. I say 2027, Penix will start. But I tell you what, though, if I'm right and it's 2027, I hope he's still got like that young, edgy, because I'm not saying he'll be old.
26 at that time.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's too old. I'm just saying, like, I don't know that Penix's best case scenario is to sit for 3 years.
Well,
I really don't.
The Falcons now find themselves in a very precarious position because they have just upset both of these guys. I mean, sure, Michael Penix is happy to be drafted, sure, but they've upset Kirk Cousins because he thought he was essentially safe, as QB1. So, and they blindsided with it, right? They didn't tell him until the draft was the pick was happening. They called Kirk Cousins when the Falcons were on the clock and said, "Hey, by the way, Kirk, we're going to take a quarterback here." Whoa.
Sure.
So I'm sure Kirk's a little offended by this. I'm sure he's a little mad about this. I'm sure he's a little perturbed about this. So, I mean, is he going to be super stoked to have Michael Penix Jr. there behind him, pushing him?
No, he won't. He will not be, in my opinion.
So maybe Kirk stays mad about this for 2 seasons and says, "You know what? All right, guys, I'm done. I'm out of here."
Well, I think it's a very similar situation. Now, I don't know if he'll handle it the same way, but I think it's very similar to Aaron Rodgers and them drafting Jordan Love.
Yeah.
I mean, what's different about it?
Yeah.
Other than them not taking Jordan Love with the 8th overall pick.
Jordan Love wasn't really projected to be this elite pro quarterback, right?
Not as good as Penix, no.
Where was Jordan Love drafted?
I am thinking off the top of my head 2nd round, but I could be wrong on that.
He wasn't
a 1st-round guy, was he?
Jordan Love.
I don't know why. I don't know why
I'm just tell you the answer. Why does it have to make it so hard? Jordan Love, 2020. Come on. Who can get there?
Round 1, pick 26.
26.
So late
okay.
1st. I was thinking early 2nd, but it was late 1st.
I mean, did Aaron Rodgers really think Jordan Love was going to push him for a QB1? No.
No, I just think he was upset.
If you take a quarterback in the top 10, you have to assume that team drafted that quarterback to push you. Right?
And I would even argue that if you take a quarterback in the 1st round, that guy's projected to start. And I think that's why Aaron felt the way that he did. I mean, I really do.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine if Kirk Cousins is getting paid a guaranteed $90 million to be a backup? I mean, that's the best gig in the world.
Yeah.
Unless you're, except for the thing of like being a competitor and getting your ego hurt. But I don't know, man.
Michael asked the question, and it's a fair point because I did hear this from other analysts. Michael asked the question on the stream, what other position should Atlanta have drafted with a 1st-round pick instead of Michael Penix? I'll tell you this, Michael. I know that they wanted to go best player available. And it just so happened that even though they had signed Kirk, it just so happened that Penix was their best player available. So what position should they have drafted? I'm not saying that there's a guy on the board better than Penix. I just don't know in that situation if you go best player available if you just sign Cousins to a 4-year deal. We had this conversation last week. The theory, we asked Anish Shroff about this. The theory of, do you go best available or do you address your needs? Michael, I don't think that Atlanta's immediate needs on their roster were Michael Penix Jr. I don't think it was quarterback. You already had quarterback locked up. I think if you looked at their draft board, I would assume they had other needs ahead of quarterback, but they went best player available.
I mean, their 3 best receivers last year were Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Jonnu Smith. Bijan Robinson, the running back, was their 4th best receiver last year.
Sure.
Had fewer than 500 yards. Drake London, their best receiver, didn't have a 1,000-yard season. So, I mean, you get Kirk Cousins as an elite receiver. Everybody needs receivers. It's the NFL. Everybody's throwing the ball. So, I mean, I don't understand going quarterback at 8. Like it's a theory. It's not the rule, right? You don't have to take the literal best player available if it's a position that you don't necessarily need.
That's what I agree with. Here's what I'll say though.
It made a ton of sense to me if they had gone receiver and then drafted Spencer Rattler in the 2nd round.
I agree with you because I just said that I think that position that they were in, they should have went needs instead of best player available.
Right.
However, if Atlanta would have had a few picks higher, would have been picking a little higher, or maybe Marvin Harrison fell a little bit lower, I think if Marvin Harrison was there when Atlanta picked, again, this is just me guessing, I would guess that they would have taken Marvin Harrison Jr. over Michael Penix. That's my guess. I don't think they would have taken Penix already having Cousins if Marvin Harrison Jr. is staring you in the face. Because like I said, I thought he was the best player in the draft the entire time. I think he'll have a fantastic career. But it just so happened that he went, 4? Is that right? Marvin Harrison?
Yes.
He went 4 to Arizona. So, at 8. No, I was just going to say at 8, I mean, I guess they could have took Rome Odunze from Washington. But they felt like they had to take the best player available.
Texter says, there was a rumor that Spencer fell in the draft because there was a sports personality in the upstate of South Carolina that joked Rattler would be in the UFL. Draft people heard that. Texter, who might you be talking about? Yours truly. Okay, moving on here. We spent a lot of time on Michael Penix there. J.J. McCarthy, he's going to start immediately for the Vikings.
Yes, he will.
Here's another interesting one, Cole. Bo Nix to the Broncos. So their quarterback room right now is Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, Ben DiNucci, and Bo Nix. Not saying that all 4 of these guys will go into camp. I would imagine that they are going to move on from Ben DiNucci if they haven't already.
They will move on
from Ben. Some of these teams don't update their rosters super quickly.
Yeah.
So one of these guys may not even be on that roster anymore. But, Zach Wilson, Cole, has a head start in learning the Broncos scheme, but I don't see Zach Wilson as having any chance to really hold on to that job. He could lose it in camp. He could lose it after the preseason games, but there's no way that Bo Nix is not going into week 3 at least as the starter for the Denver Broncos. Like, do we really think Zach Wilson is going to show them something to make them sit Bo Nix?
Again, you don't take a quarterback at 12 if you have another guy.
Right.
Like, that ain't happening. Zach Wilson, they
traded to be a backup again.
I think so. I think so. And look, Zach Wilson may, in a fresh place, in a new start for Zach Wilson, he may thrive. He may play well. He may do good in Denver with offensive minded.
Jets just ruin quarterbacks, don't they?
They do. But my point is, you don't take Bo Nix at 12 and think, oh, well, I wonder who's going to win Zach Wilson. Even though Zach was drafted high, Zach hasn't proven that. They picked Bo Nix because Bo Nix is their guy.
Here's the next interesting one, Cole. Number 150 in the draft, Spencer Rattler went to the Saints. This one gets really fun to try to predict. Derek Carr is 33 years old. His contract runs through 2026, at which time he'll be 35 years old. I know you're not a Derek Carr fan, but his numbers have stayed strong. They're not elite. They're not top of the league, but they've been solid for the last 3 years. I'm going to assume, Cole, this is my prediction. I'm going to assume that Derek Carr has 1 to 1.5 good years left in him. Then he starts to fall off mid-2025. Spencer Rattler is going to look really good in camp. He's going to learn that system. And I think Spencer Rattler will be the starter for the New Orleans Saints in 2026. 2 seasons, riding the pine, learning the system. 2026, Spencer Rattler will be the starter. And that's
a great question.
Be, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how it should be? You take a full year to learn the system and then you become the starter.
Yeah, it should. Derek Carr, you said his contract, he has 2 years left. So he has 24, 25.
Through the 2026 season, which means
he has 3 years left.
Around March 2027, he will be
Derek Carr, I don't know. Here's what I'll say. I hear what you're saying on Derek Carr's having 3 more years on his contract. I don't know that Derek Carr has 3 years of quality play left.
I don't either. I set the over-under at 1.5.
So
1.5 more good years, and he may hit the over, but he's not getting 3 more good years.
Listen, I agree with you. I like a quarterback sitting for a year or so and learning the system, but I'm telling you this. If New Orleans this year comes out and poops the bed and Derek Carr's not playing well, I'm sorry. There's a change coming. Whether it's Taysom Hill, who I'm not a huge fan of, he's a great athlete. He's not a true quarterback. Or Rattler. I'm taking this. I'm not – if I'm there –
going to jump Taysom Hill.
Well, I think he will. I think he should. If I'm their coach and I'm their GM, Derek Carr's not guaranteed crap. You gotta play and prove it to keep this job. I know you have a contract with us for 3 years, but if Rattler's outperforming you throughout the summer and we get the training camp and Rattler, let's just pretend, Diesel, that we get the training camp and Rattler just all of a sudden is lighting it up. You go into the season with Carr. What if Carr starts 1-4? What are you going to do then? I'm not buying it.
Are you so bold as to say that Spencer Rattler are you predicting that he'll be the starter in 2024? Named the starter. Named the full-time starter.
Okay, I'll say this. It wouldn't surprise me because of Derek Carr if it happened, but if I had to guess, I'll say it happens in 2025.
2025.
If I had a guess.
Okay.
But, again, I wouldn't be shocked if it happens. I'm just not a Derek Carr guy. I don't know that, again, the South, he may win some games. I thought last year was a very significant year, Diesel, for him to go prove he's the guy, and he didn't.
Yeah,
his numbers were there, but you couldn't even beat Baker Mayfield.
So we're running tight on time here, Cole. Let's go quickly with the last 3 here. 171, Jordan Travis went to the Jets. He's never going to start. He's never going to start in New York. Aaron Rodgers has said that he wants to play for 3 or 4 more years. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play 5 more just out of spite to say that he was in the league longer than Tom Brady.
That's a great question.
He's just that kind of a jackass. They got Tyrod Taylor, but Tyrod Taylor's 34.
I will disagree with you that he never starts. I think it's at least 3 years, though.
3. Okay.
At least 3.
So you're saying 2027. You don't think even by then?
I don't think Rodgers will be playing in 27.
He says he wants to play 3 or 4 more.
I think he's full of it.
Yeah, I mean, you breathe on him the wrong way and he tears tendons. So, okay. No, number 193, Joe Milton to the Patriots. Never. Drake May's not going to be a bust. I mean, he's not going to find a ton of success in the AFC East with the other quarterbacks in that division, but he's not going to be bad enough that Gerard Mayo will have no choice but to bench him. So I don't think Joe Milton is ever going to be the starter in New England.
I agree.
218, Devin Leary to the Ravens. Not going to happen. Michael Pratt, to the Packers?
Nope.
That's not going to happen.
Nope.
No.
I like it, though. Let's keep this on record and see if we're right. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, coming up next on Wire to Wire, he's home team Brandon Leak. 680 The Fan in Atlanta, host of Morning Drive. His reaction to what the Falcons did in the NFL draft. I'm Cole Bryson. This is Wire to Wire on the Fan Upstate. Appreciate you being a part of the program each and every day, 3 to 7 p.m. Last week, Diesel, we had home team Brandon Leak on draft day. It was a fantastic interview, fan favorite. We had a ton of positive feedback from our audience. And I told you on Monday after the Falcons did what they did, I said, man, Brandon Leak was so good last week. I want to hear his reaction. So we bring in from 680 The Fan, Morning Drive, home team, Brandon Leak. Hey, Brandon, last Thursday, I want to know if I would have told you in our interview that the Falcons would take Michael Penix, you would have said?
I would have said, get off of the microphone and drive yourself to an emergency room immediately as you have suffered some sort of head trauma that you are unaware of. Unprecedented, unbelievable, and still unreally decided whether or not it is a good pick, horrible pick, a pick that may turn out to be just fine, or something that just will have everybody scratching their heads for a lifetime.
He is home team Brandon Leak joining us on the show. Brandon, this is Diesel here. Thanks for taking the time with us again today. So in the last segment, Cole and I went starter by starter, all the guys, all the quarterbacks that were drafted in this draft, and we tried to predict when we thought each of these guys were going to be starters. Some of them were easy. You know, a lot of them were predicted to be starter immediately, especially the first-round guys. But it got a little murky, obviously, with Michael Penix. When do you think Michael Penix Jr. will be the starter? And I'm not talking Kirk Cousins goes down with an injury, but like the legit starter. I mean, Kirk is aging, but he's still a solid quarterback. You're paying him a ton of money. I predicted 2026 at the earliest, more like 2027. But Cole said you don't draft a quarterback in the first round without the intention of starting him.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. So when you start talking about a time frame, you're talking about if he is starting before 2 years, there has been a catastrophe. Either Kirk Cousins is injured, Kirk Cousins is awful, or the Falcons are awful. And if you have a quarterback starting before the starter you just paid $180 million takes you to the postseason or wins a postseason game, you have big problems and big financial problems as well.
I want to ask Brandon, in your opinion, because this is fascinating. It's what everybody's talking about. It's on all the national shows. What is home team Brandon Leak's best case scenario for this entire situation?
I think the best case scenario is that the Falcons find themselves in the postseason the next 2 years, and then at some point it is identified that Kirk Cousins may be on the downside or has reached his apex as the quarterback for the Falcons, or you just don't want to wait any longer for Michael Penix Jr. and you can find a dance partner. I don't know who that would be 2 years from now, if that would be a team like the Raiders or a team like the Seahawks that needs a veteran quarterback for a bridge gap guy kind of situation. But, you know, you don't want to have to root, if you are a Falcon fan, you don't want to have to root against Kirk Cousins because you want this guy to win. You want him to use the weapons. You want to see this guy throw a lot of touchdowns and, re-galvanize the Falcons fan base and the franchise with a new coach and new coordinator. But at some point, you have a $180 million quarterback. You have a backup quarterback at some point who will be making first-round quarterback and first-round draft team money. And at some point, what you want and what you need financially might not cross paths at the same time.
Brandon, how is Kirk Cousins handling this news? And we found out that Kirk had no knowledge of this until the Falcons were on the clock. That's when he got the phone call. I don't remember the exact verbiage that they used, but it was something in the range of disappointed or blindsided. It's been almost a week now. To your knowledge, how is Kirk and his camp taking this news?
Oh, he doesn't like it. Who would like it? First of all, what did you tell me? Did you tell me the truth? And you know what? If I knew all of this from the beginning, would I have stayed or maybe worked out lesser numbers to stay in Minnesota? Those are the kinds of questions that arise when you have a situation where you don't have, honestly, with your quarterback. And so you have a situation now where Kirk Cousins is a little bit bothered. Now, he's a pro. He's already called Michael Penix Jr. He's already found a way to get in early for some of the voluntary workouts and have some conversations and have some time with his offensive lineman. But you can't tell me a veteran quarterback is going to be sitting in the room with his replacements waiting for one bad moment, one bad string of games, or knock on wood, hopefully it's not a bad injury, and the guy's going to be taking his job sooner than he thought, which was probably 4 years from now.
You can follow him on Twitter, Hometeam Brandon or Hometeam B Leak at Hometeam B Leak on Twitter. He is Brandon Leak. Hey, I want to ask this: your morning drive show, I'm sure this was incredible on Monday and even all the way up to today, Brandon. But what has been the reaction from your audience in Atlanta?
Shock and awe. I mean, the good thing is we are morning drive, so you do have to be responsible and follow FCC regulations. The other side of that is you got a lot of day to go through a lot of bourbon, and that's what's pretty much been knocking off the shock and awe of it. I mean, I would say the vast majority of Falcon fans are just head scratching and don't believe that this is a good move. And really, the Falcons made a reach they didn't have to. I right now, believe it or not, I'm in a minority where I can see the thought process and I can see the backup scenario and the insurance policy for Kirk Cousins. And I could also see what the Falcons were saying. I attended a press conference yesterday with the assistant general manager. And one of the things he said was the last 4 years, they haven't been in a space where they could get a quarterback that they wanted. And now, while it is unconventional and certainly non-traditional, they know for the next 5 years, they are good at the quarterback position. That's a minority opinion. I can accept the explanation. I do not understand the process of spending all of that money on your quarterback room and not enough maybe on your defense that needs some help.
Well, the good news there, Brandon, is that in the draft, at least, it seems like that was a focus for the Falcons. Ruka Rororo at defensive tackle, Braylon Trice, Brandon Dorless. I mean, picks 2, 3, and 4, all defense. You got to feel pretty good about that. I mean, the defense was solid. It wasn't elite, but it was top half of the NFL last year. You got to feel like you're going to be able to stop some teams and maybe only have to outscore them by putting 2 or 3 touchdowns on the board.
Yeah, and there's the rub. Defense gave up about 21 points a game last year. Could it be better with a new defensive coordinator in Jimmy Lake and Raheem Morris? The head coach has spent time on the defensive side of the ball. Could it have been better, though, will always be in the back of the minds of Falcon fans. If you could have gotten yourself a Ladarius Sneed, if you could have gotten yourself a Daniil Hunter, if you could have gotten yourself a Josh Allen or somebody who got a big contract or will be getting a big contract on the defensive side of the ball and then taking Michael Penix Jr., I think people will feel more comfortable about that. When you don't fix those problems, get any of those people, none of the top 4 defensive ends or edge rushers in the draft, and you do go and get those defensive tackles and players along with selecting no defensive backs in the draft, you just leave yourself open for a lot of criticism if the Falcons lose games because their defense can't come up with plays or they can't get off the field.
Brandon, I'm sure you guys have discussed this on your program, but now that the dust has settled with the Falcons 2024 NFL draft, last year the Falcons 7-10, finished 3rd behind Tampa Bay and New Orleans in the South. Where do you think this team, we're in May now, we're only 3 months away from football. Where do you think this Falcons team ranks, stacks up in your mind in the South?
They should be the best team. And I say all of that that I said prior to that statement in that you scored 17 points a game last year. There is no way with Kirk Cousins, no way with the assets you've invested in the draft for the offense that you should be scoring 17 points a game. So you should be in a position where you have to score points, you're scoring red zone touchdowns, and you're finding a way to win games at home and on the road. Kirk Cousins, while he is going to be looked at as a savior and a very good asset, he's got a responsibility. He took the $180 million. He has one playoff win in his career, and he's got to find a way to put a whole lot of people's angst to the side, and he needs some postseason victories repeatedly.
Is Terry Fontenot's job on the line this season? I mean, with the questionable decision with Kirk to go with Kirk Cousins, give him this huge contract as an aging quarterback, and then the first round big question mark. We saw. I mean, I can't imagine that conversation there with the owner was a very positive conversation. It seems like he had a lot of explaining to do at that time. And if this all blows up in his face, could this be the reason he gets the axe?
He may have caught himself sometime. When you go in with Penix, there is some scuttlebutt about whether or not he bought himself some time, because you don't know if it's a complete failure until Michael Penix gets out there. If he's not that good or not that guy, he's got a big problem. If Kirk Cousins and the Falcons offense isn't improved and they don't make the playoffs this year, his buns are certainly on the hot seat. But I don't know if you fire a guy who, when he first got the job a couple of years ago, he got hired after the head coach got hired, which was insane to me. And then the head coach got fired. And then he just picked his first quarterback. And then he picked this other quarterback in the draft for the first time. So I'm thinking you got to give a GM a chance to get some say-so on his head coach, get some say on his quarterback, and then give his new staff and the team a couple of years. But based on the eye-popping decision to go with Michael Penix Jr., who knows? His time and his clock could be very much accelerated.
Home team Brandon Leak, Morning Drive co-host, The Locker Room, 680 The Fan in Atlanta. Brandon, you're absolutely fantastic. We love your work, but before we let you go, the Braves slumping a little bit right now, struggling to hit the ball. What's the reaction from your audience?
It's a 162-game season. You're coming off a historic year offensively with your offense, and the bottom line is some guys at the top of the lineup just aren't hitting. Ronald Acuna Jr. is down to 245, and the guy with the most home runs and had the most RBI in baseball last year, Matt Olson, he's nearing the Mendoza line, batting 202 after a 3-2 loss against the Mariners and 2 strikeouts last night. So I think overall what we saw last year was this team has the potential when everybody is clicking to do some damage. And right now, the top of the order, you can also throw in Austin Riley. He's just not where a lot of people thought he would be. If the top of the order can get themselves together, I think Braves baseball that we saw last year will look a lot like we want it to this year.
Brandon, fantastic stuff. We appreciate you taking time to hop on with us in your busy day, and we look forward to talking to you again soon, buddy.
I will be personally offended if you don't have me on again.
Absolutely, man. We'll make it happen. He's the best. He's home team. Brandon Leak just does a fantastic job. I'm telling you, man, I love listening to Brandon Leak talk Falcons, Braves. He's the best.
Falcons fans got to be jazzed, man. We're talking more Falcons than we ever have on this station. And
we have a lot of Falcons fans here.
We need to do a poll, Cole. Try to say that without messing
poll,
up. We need to do a poll, Cole, to find out how our audience splits between Panthers and Falcons. I understand that, the nature of pro football and fandoms is they're split. They're all over the place, right?
Sure.
I know that we have a whole bunch of cheeseheads around here. I know that we have a whole bunch of Steelers fans down here.
And
well,
come on.
Nerds,
don't skip over it.
People with squatted trucks, Cowboys fans. We know we got a bunch of them here too. They're like rabbits. They multiply, okay?
Yes.
They indoctrinate young so that you have no other choice. By the time you hit 12 or 13, all you know is silver and blue.
That's it.
Even though you never win any games. But you got to love that. We got to find out what the split is between the Panthers and Falcons fans here. I'd be willing to bet, Cole, that a lot of the Panthers fans are in hiding and that the Falcons, goodness gracious, would win that poll. I think that would happen.
It'd be a great question. And I'll say this about that.
Put it on the poll right now.
Yeah, do it. It would be interesting. I think there'll be more Falcons fans in this area than you think. Diesel, one thing I wanted to go back to what he said about the Braves at the end. Like how with other sports, football, basketball, everybody has to play well. But you know how in football, like one guy can be enough to carry you, right? If you have a Mahomes, you're going to be in the postseason. If you have a LeBron, you're going to be in the postseason. But what's so interesting about Major League Baseball, to Brandon's point, he's exactly right. What's fascinating is, Diesel, you can have the most talented lineup and rotation in the entire league. But if 1 through 9's not all clicking, I'm not saying they all have to be on fire, but if they're not all like 275 and above, if they're not all playing well, you're not going to be playing well as a team. Baseball is the most interesting sport when it comes to
it rubs off.
It does. I was going to say when it comes to momentum, you have to have a little momentum. You have to have some guys, you said it, rub off on each other. And you know what? The good news is it's May. There's plenty of time, like Brandon said. But what's crazy is they do have one of the most talented lineups. And to see with the way they're hitting the ball right now, man, it just blows your mind. It really does.
Says Diesel got it wrong. The Cowboys never win any playoff games. Well, we got a poll up. Go to the Fan Upstate on Twitter.
Okay.
Says doing very serious research here. What NFL teams dominate fandoms in the Upstate? Your choices are Panthers, Falcons, and everybody else.
Ooh.
Got to know the answer to that question. So hit up the Fan Upstate on Twitter.
I like it.
Give us a vote. Cole, when we come back, I know you revealed to me who your sports celebrity crush is. I know who it is, and I understand a lot of people are going to agree with you on this, but I wanted to know, what would it take to turn you off of that? What would it take to make you say, ugh, no, not into her anymore? That's coming up next here on Wire to Wire. I'm Diesel. He's Cole Bryson. This is the Fan Upstate. Cole, it's okay to be superficial on this show. We do it all the time. We do
Super
it a
what?
lot more off the air than we do it on the air. And
I'm clipping that, by the way.
I know for a fact, Cole, that you have the hots in a big way for one Molly Karam.
Who doesn't?
Right? I mean, she's gorgeous.
Right?
She's stunning. She's breathtaking.
Breathtaking.
She's on TV. She doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of controversial opinions. She's kind of the quarterback.
She does a really good job, though. Like,
yeah.
I'm not saying with her opinions, but like she hosts. You're right. You said it right. She's a quarterback. She does a really good job of keeping it moving, you know?
Yep. So I want to know, Cole, is there anything that Molly Karam could do, especially from a sports fandom perspective, that would ruin it for you? You're a Cowboys fan.
She's a Giants
She's
fan,
a
by the way.
Giants fan. Y'all are rivals. Like if Molly came to work one day, just sake of argument, came to work one day wearing a New York Giants bikini, would that make you say, I don't want to look at this today? Would it make you want to look more?
I don't think there's anything she could wear.
Nothing.
As attractive as she is, I don't think there's anything related to a sports team, whether it be the Giants or.
So she's in a category of her own that can literally.
I think so. I think so. I think that. Listen, every fan's different. Like you'll find some fans that say, I'm the most diehard fan to where they would never date or marry someone that is pulls for there.
Once.
You said that?
I did say that once.
Did you mean it?
At the time, I did.
College talking about college.
Yeah. You remember those ESPN commercials that were never graduate commercials?
Yeah.
And there was one in particular that I remember. There was a guy it seemed to be on a guy on a blind date with a girl. She was driving and they were just chit-chatting in the car. They're like, oh, where are you from? Where are you from? She's like, I'm from Michigan. He goes, oh, are you a Michigan fan? She goes, yep, go blue. And he opens the car door, tucks and rolls out of a moving vehicle, and then yells, go Buckeyes.
I do remember
as
that.
She pulls away.
Yeah. He dumped her.
He dumped her right there in the car, right there on the drive to the restaurant. Like this feels like it could be a Seinfeld plot, right?
Do you really believe that though?
That somebody would do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
100% I do. Like, wow. Gamecock and Clemson and South Carolina fans are going to text in right now and say, I would never, ever, ever date or marry a member of the opposite fan base. Would never do it. I guarantee you those messages are going to start rolling in here any minute. But yeah, Seinfeld plot, right? Like Jerry sees a woman on TV. He falls head over heels for her, builds her up in his mind that she's perfect. And then she's a fan of another team and he's not interested anymore. Cole, it would take, I'm a married man.
Sure.
But hypothetically speaking here, and I know my wife's in the car. She's probably listening right now. It would take just an absolute knockout for me to date a Georgia Southern fan. Couldn't do it. They're the worst people on the earth.
You really hate them that much?
I hate them that much. I
didn't know the hate was that much.
Here's the thing, Cole. Yeah, it's deep. The hate between App State and
okay.
Georgia Southern. But when I was in college, Cole, Furman was a big rival of App State when I was in college.
Same conference?
Yep. Same level. And I told myself, and Ashley knows this. Yep, she's listening. Look at that. She just got a text message right there. I'm listening.
You're busted.
No, I'm not busted because I've told her this before. She knows this story. She knows this full well.
Okay.
I told myself in college or fresh after when I moved down here.
Sure.
I said, I will never, ever, ever date a Furman girl. What did I do? I married one.
Married a Furman girl.
Or married a Furman girl.
That's
there's got to be deal breakers in sports, right? Like you would never ever date. Like what if you're dating a girl and you don't know her allegiances, and then we talked about this the other day. What if she had a huge Giants tattoo or a Commander's
Okay, tattoo'd be different.
Or,
Tattoo'd be different.
What if that's all she ever wore? Every single day you saw her. It could be different shirt, different hoodie, shorts, whatever.
It'd be weird.
It'd be weird.
It'd be weird.
And like, we're talking like level 3 fans here, right? The intense fans.
Sure.
What if she wanted to throw it in your face every day? Not that. If she wanted to throw her fandom in your face every day. Like, I bag on you all the time for being a Cowboys fan, but you have to go home to that.
Yeah. It's tough. One texter says, this is the best text of the day, Diesel. Tolo says, I'm a Clemson fan who married a Gamecock and we're divorced. Says Sheezy. That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Sheezy, we need details on this, Sheezy. Did the fandom have anything to do with your divorce?
There's no way. There's no way. There's no way.
See, I'm too petty. I pick on Ashley all the time with how badly App State beat the tar out of Furman in football, but she's got me in basketball.
Mad Craft on the stream is right. He says, guys, you only go on a date if you think the girl's attractive. So at that point, I could care less. Another texter says, I am Clemson fan, no Gamecock. So there's your text you were looking for.
There you go.
They, I don't know. I know people say that, but at the end of the day, I don't know that I believe it. Well, I just don't know that I believe a guy when he says, let's say Clemson fan.
Well, we all know how horny men are. They will date anything.
Most men will.
Yeah.
I just think that I think that the fandom, yeah, of course it matters. But I think the majority of men would be lying if they told you that it would be an obstacle. I really do.
I don't know about that, man. Are you telling me that Alabama fans, horny Alabama dudes, will marry and date Auburn girls?
If they're related. You know how Alabama people are now. You know how the Alabama people are. Man. I don't know. It's a good question, though. I like it. It's just a matter of how, like you said, what level of fandom you're on, right? By the way, Diesel, the Braves are up 5-0 in the bottom of the fourth. A little Braves update for you.
Now my phone's blowing up.
Uh-oh. Said something wrong.
Oh, this comes from Diddy.
What did he say?
This comes from Diddy. He says, living in the upstate, I had to make the decision that I could handle a Clemson fan as long as they didn't cheer for the Yankees or any other team I hated. The fact that Ashley, this is a run-on sentence, Diddy, this is hard to read. The fact that Ashley likes the Patriots, Bruins, Red Sox, and is cheering for my Orlando City soccer club means that I can handle the fact that she cheers for Clemson. So there he is. He's bargaining here, okay?
I like that. I like the bargaining.
This, little that. Like, yeah. I don't like the Clemson fans. Don't want to date the Clemson fans, but she likes my Red Sox.
I like that.
She likes my Patriots. She likes my Bruins.
Well, I think they agree on the majority there, right?
Yeah.
One texter says, I'm a Gamecock with no family ties to the college. We moved here when I was young from Texas. Mom was from El Salvador. Dad was from Southern California. Let me click on the text to see the rest of it. He was a Trojan fan, and she had no idea what American football was. When I started coming of age and looked around at the people that I knew that I saw from school, I started to realize Clemson fans were jerks, so I became a Gamecock. I have held that thought ever since, and would never date a Clemson fan. Side note, I did marry a volunteer, says the texter, so there's that. Good text. I like it.
Great text.
Another texter. I'm about to marry.
Is the rivalry hot enough between South Carolina and Tennessee fans?
I don't think so.
I know Tennessee fans are insufferable as hell.
Oh, they are. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
One texter says, I'm about to marry a diehard Furman fan. Met her at Furman when I got my undergrad. But what fan are you of?
Yeah.
Where does your
inquiring minds want to know
fandom lie? All right, coming up next, Diesel. We do it every single day at 5 o'clock. What in the world are we going to fight about next? It is May 1st. Can you believe April flew by the way it did? Like, I feel like it was just yesterday we were making April Fool jokes. However, May is here. April is no more. And the reason I'm excited that May is here is that I looked at my calendar this morning, Diesel, and I said, oh, man, we're now 3 months away from football.
You know what I am glad about?
What's that?
I haven't seen any of those stupid Justin Timberlake memes today. Not a one.
That's a good thing.
I didn't see him yesterday.
That's a really good thing.
And the way social media works, you see him for like 2 days after that. I haven't seen a single one.
Well, now that you say that, we're going to...
Now that Siri's listening.
I was going to say, now that your phone's listening. But listen, man, I'm jacked up. It may be slow season for us sports radio guys the next 3 months, but I don't look at it that way, man. I say, all right, it's talking season. I love the anticipation. I love it. I cannot wait. 3 months away until football season. Going to be a lot of fun this fall. All right, every single day, we do the same exact thing at 5 p.m. If this is your first time being a Tolo, which stands for Turn It On, Leave It On. This is the first time you have listened to Wire to Wire. Maybe you just moved to the area or you just forgot about us on the radio dial. Well, welcome back. We appreciate you being with us. 5 o'clock fight. We'll have 3 rounds. Diesel and I will disagree on every single round, and you, the listener, you, the Tolo, will decide who wins. And with that being said, Diesel, I love this one. If you could never have to do dishes or laundry forever, which would you choose?
Man, I get to eliminate one of 2 of the most annoying chores.
Agree.
Man, if I never had to do dishes again, my life would be fantastic. It's every damn day. It's 3 times a day.
Yes.
I mean, let's be real. None of us are so good that we're unloading the dishwasher as soon as it's done and then we just start filling it back up again. No, we all use the sink. We all pile things up in the sink. And there's that tipping point. I don't know what it is. It's like 2 plates, a couple of forks, and a glass.
Yeah.
And that's when you say, screw it, man. I'm just gonna let it keep going. Like anything less than that, you're like, oh, I could have the sink clean and empty if I just put these 2 saucers in the dishwasher.
It's true.
So like you hit that point where you get into screw it mode, and then it really piles up, and then it really sucks. Get dishes out of my life forever.
It's funny you say that. It really is, because I do dishes. I would probably say 30-1. The amount of times I do laundry. Yeah. I am the world's worst. I don't mind doing dishes. I really don't. I don't love it, but I don't mind it. Diesel, let me tell you this. I promise you I'm the world's worst at not doing the laundry, like putting it in the washing machine and then putting it in the dryer. But there's nobody on planet Earth who's worse than Cole Bryson at taking the clean clothes to the extra bedroom and laying them on the bed. And they sit on that bed for 4 years before they get put up.
Let me guess, you will pick out of that clean laundry basket for a week.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than just fold it and put it in the drawer.
Without a doubt. But you pour the laundry basket on the bed. Yeah. You at least do diligence and put the laundry basket up. But I'm telling you, I will have clean clothes on the bed, extra bedroom for days.
Both of these chores suck, and they never end. It is a lifelong chore. I would get rid of doing dishes. Cole would get rid of doing his laundry.
I love it, though. This one, though, Imagine next
having a Consuela who would just do it for you. That's the only thing she does. It's the only thing she does, dishes or laundry.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Good idea. The next one, however, round 2.
This is when it gets real.
This is when it gets real. Diesel, we both love chicken wings.
Love them.
We talked last week about dry rub versus wet rub. I said wet rub. You said dry rub. Everyone, I believe.
You said wet rub, and that was an FCC violation.
That's true. Everyone loves chicken wings. But if you have to pick, are you a flats guy or a drums guy?
Now we're talking elite level wings, right? We're talking big, meaty, juicy wings.
Sure.
We're not debating one is, the weak, meatless ones. No.
Yeah.
Give me the drums, man. I love the drums. I like having the handle. I like, I like that when they're meaty, they're huge. It's like a chicken leg. Give me that. Give me the drums all day.
You know what's funny about this? I used to be a drum guy, but I changed my allegiance. I am now a flats guy.
Wow.
I like being able to, on a chicken wing, get all of the chicken off in one single bite. Done.
The flats are definitely more tender than the drums.
Yeah.
I'll concede you that.
I just love the I don't hate drums. I'm not like one where I say, hey, give me all flats. I don't do that, but I love how easy flats are. It's just soup, in and out.
I know a lot of people will order all flats.
They do.
But do people order all drums?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think I've ever seen that happen in public before.
Absolutely. People do.
I would look at somebody like their Dexter if they order just a plate of drums. I didn't know you could do that. But I like that the drums can be a one-handed situation. That way, like, you can still drink your drink. I mean, like, when you got a really good plate of wings.
Yeah.
And it's all over your hands.
Yeah.
And you got to reach up and you got to grab your drink like this.
Yep. Like I was doing last Thursday at the draft. Trying to be on air.
I like the drums because I like to be a little bit neater, but that's just me.
All right, 71307's the way you can get your thoughts in. That's the text line. When you text 71307, just start your text with the word fan. That way we'll see it and not another station.
We've already got some votes coming in on the chat, but we'll get to those in just a minute.
All right.
It's not looking good for me, though.
Oh, no. Am I finally getting a win today? Let's find out round 3. All right, Diesel, final round. I like this one. Will old Dave, Uncle Dave, I can't say that word. Will David Tepper continue taking the bait and get into public spats, or did he learn his lesson? Will he fade into the bushes like Homer Simpson, you say?
Well, old Dave, he's been a jerk in press conferences. He threw a drink on a fan. He stopped into the restaurant there in Charlotte that said, please let the coaches and GM make the pick. I think Dave, as much as he wishes he could be Homer Simpson here, Dave is going to keep taking the bait. He's going to keep taking the bait, man. He is not going to learn his lesson because like, what does he care if people think he's a jerk, right? Everybody thinks he's a jerk. He doesn't care if people think he's a jerk. Dave Tepper, I guarantee you, it'll be less than 3 months from now, before the season starts, there will be another embarrassing, why did Dave Tepper do that moment?
You're making this difficult on me. Just say it. You're making this really tough.
I'm gonna make you argue for Dave Tepper's better Angels.
I think that the video was enough. What I mean by that is I think that the video of him taking the guy's hat off in the restaurant, I think that Dave, I don't say this confidently, okay? I'm being quite honest. I don't say this with much confidence, but I do think David Tepper will cool it a little bit. He's got to. Diesel, he has no other choice but to. He's a clown show.
Yeah, he's a clown show, but what are like the problem is it's none of the other NFL owners saying that. Is Jerry Jones out there in the media saying that was too far?
They need to be. They need to be.
They need to be. They sure do, but they're not. They don't care. They don't care as long as he's not out there impregnating hookers. They don't care.
Not yet. Not yet. All right, that was round 3. Again, round 1, dishes or laundry, which could you eliminate forever? Round 2, flats or drums. Diesel says drums. I say flats. On the laundry versus dishes, Diesel says he could eliminate dishes. I say laundry. Round 3, will David Tepper finally cool it? I say yes. Diesel says no. We've had several good entries. You can be a part of the program by submitting a 5 o'clock fight. How do you do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. All right, Diesel, you take the stream. I'll
Yep.
take the text line. We have a ton to get to. You go first, though.
Madcraft is with me when it comes to if you could hire somebody to take away one of your worst chores forever, dishes or laundry. I said dishes. Madcraft says he's with me. That he would have his maid do his dishes forever, and he would never ever have to touch them again. He's with me on that one. Madcraft says you win round 2. You said flats over drums. I said drums over flats. So Madcraft went with me. Round 3 with Madcraft. He says Diesel for the win.
No.
He says Diesel for the win. There's no way Dave Tepper can hold it in. There's no way. Like Shane Barrett says there's a video of him throwing a drink, and yet he still went into the restaurant in Charlotte. Like, do you think he thought this was going to go well for me? Like I don't think he thought. He gets mad. He pulls over. He's got a goon with him. And he says, you know what? Somehow I'm going to come out looking good in this situation.
I don't even think he thought. I don't think he thought about anything. He don't think he does. What's that movie, by the way?
He don't think.
Or not exactly the redneck slang. Cole said, don't think, just do it.
It sounds like a sports movie.
No, recently.
Don't think, just
one of the most
Dallas?
Nope, one of the most popular films, I'll say 2 years ago, has to do with an older film. It's older Top Gun. Don't think, just do.
Top Gun.
Remember that? Remember
Top
that?
Gun 2 was great.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Top Gun 2 was so great.
Look at me throwing movie quotes. I'm learning, man. I'm learning.
Madcraft says, I don't think he thought is such an insult.
It's true, though.
Yeah. Text line, what we got?
Oh, we got everything on the text line. One texter says, I would easily eliminate laundry. Another texter says, Cole, Diesel round 1 because you know how JD feels about dishes. Texter says, where would one, I'm going to skip that one. Drums, bro, says one texter. Flats all day, says another texter. One Tolo says, Diesel wins 2-1. The restaurant has a new sign that says, hats off to the new passers. We saw that. That's fantastic. Another texter. We have the perfect setup. The wife and kids like flats, and I'm a drum kind of guy. Works out perfect. That does work out for you if you're a drum guy.
When you eat the flats, Cole, do you separate the bones or do you just take it straight off?
Straight off. One swipe.
Wow. No, I separate the bones.
Really?
I like to split them apart.
Really?
Yeah.
No. You don't mess with the bones. Texter says Diesel round 1 because that is my chore at the house and it sucks. Diesel round 2, flats are annoying, and Diesel round 3. Tepper is not showing us anything different. And guess what, Diesel? You got a clean sweep on that one. Dishes, gotta go drums. Hands down, Tepper, says one texter. He'll cool off once we start winning, says Atolo. And then the last one for now says Diesel wins 1 and 2. Cole wins 3. I think you meant Gordon. So,
hey, Gordon.
The stream.
Oh, Gordo, you're on my side today.
Finally. The stream likes me.
Pick against me every day.
The stream liked me, but the texters liked you. How about that?
You never know how this thing is going to go. You never really do. And hey, remember, you can always get your fight ideas to us when you email me, diesel@thefanupstate.com. We'll use your idea. If it's perfect as is, we'll use it as is. If we feel like maybe we need to tweak this just a little bit to make it a little more interesting, put a little more meat on that bone, we'll do it. We'll tweak it just a little bit. Still give you credit for the idea, though.
Rob Brown on Twitter says, at Rob Brown Show, you can follow him. He says, I think Tepper thought he had a chance to crack a joke and be a man of the people, but he's an out-of-touch billionaire who has no idea what the common man is really like. I actually forgive him for this one. I think he was actually trying. How about that, Rob, trying to giving a little forgiveness toward old Uncle Dave? Do you forgive him, Diesel?
Hell no. Like, they say that the exchange was light and funny. I'm not buying it because we didn't see any smiles until the very end of this thing. I mean, this guy was mad. You can tell this guy was hopping mad. And his right hand, his muscle was staring down this server or this host in the eyes. Who put that sign up? Who put that sign up? The guy's like, I don't know. I didn't do it. Not today. I didn't put up that sign today.
Not today.
Oh, yeah, well, who did it?
I'll say this. Perception's most of the time reality, right? Yeah. Whether he thought it was going to go over well or not. What I said earlier, I mean it. I don't think he thought. I don't think he thought about it.
If I see, and I'm not looking at the video at the moment, but it was probably about 45 seconds or so.
Sure, something like that.
If I see a 45-second video and you are scowling and frowning for 44 of those seconds, and at the very end you crack a smile and walk out, everybody's going to think you're being a jerk here. Nobody is taking your side. Nobody.
Yeah.
Like this guy, they have PR on staff. And
no,
nobody is going into Dave's office and being like, Dave, you got to stop doing this, man.
I don't think anybody has the you-know-what to go into Dave's office and say, hey, man, you got to – like.
Man, if I ever got hired by the Carolina Panthers and Dave Tepper was still there, I would have the biggest buyout in my contract. I mean, like, you don't even have to pay me that much money, you know? Pay me $40K to come work for you in Charlotte. But my buyout, my severance, going to be huge. You know why? Because I'm going to get fired.
Yeah, I probably would too. On the text line, Trey says, I think Tepper could get some good PR if he used that restaurant to cater an event for the Panthers. That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. I like that text, Trey. I really do. Another texter says, 3-round domination for Diesel. Are you kidding me? What have I done? Paper plates for the win, says Bo. What do you mean paper plates with the win?
So you don't have to do dishes.
Oh, I was thinking wings.
You're gonna eat on paper plates forever?
Yeah, but
like when your mama comes over to the house, you're gonna use paper plates?
I use paper plates for a lot. However, people act like they just go away.
It's very wasteful.
If you use paper plates, what are you doing? You're just making yourself have to take the trash out more.
That's true.
Right?
That is true. You're having to go out and do that more often.
So
your trash can faster.
And I would much rather do dishes than take out the trash.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, trash is done like that. Dishes takes like 5-10 minutes sometimes if you got to unload and reload, but trash is gone in like, 60 seconds.
I really tonight have to go home and fold the laundry on the bed and the extra bedroom. Like so now that we've had this,
you into doing your laundry.
You've
what I want to know, Cole, is where are the Falcons fans in our audience? We put up the poll in the last segment.
Oh no, did it not turn out good?
Very serious research here. What NFL teams dominate the fandom in the upstate? Your choices are simple: Panthers, Falcons, or everybody else.
Oh no!
52% say Panthers. 47% says anybody else. We do not have a single Falcons fan who has jumped on that poll and voted to this point.
Maybe Falcons fans don't follow us.
Where are the dirty birds?
They don't follow us because we've never talked Falcons before on this station, so they don't know about it.
We did last Thursday.
Huh. How about that?
We brought on Hometeam Brandon Leak,
who was just fantastic.
Co-host.
His show,
The Fan.
Like, as much energy as he has, I'm telling you, man, he's just one of those guys. When he comes on with you, you just lean into what he's saying, right? He has such energy. His reaction to what the Falcons did, if you missed it, if you just tuned in, we'll have it for you again in the final hour of the show. All right, Diesel, we will continue to add to the 5 o'clock fights here. However, I do have some bad news. Are you ready for bad news?
Uh-oh. Don't do this. Don't make me sad.
Bad news for our Tolos. I don't believe in substitutions. I don't believe in substitute teachers. Now, when I was in school, no work ever got done when you had a substitute teacher, right?
Sure. Everybody try to take advantage of the substitute.
They should. I didn't say that out loud. There will be no 5 o'clock fight again until Monday. Because today is Diesel's Friday.
Yeah.
That's not yay. That's not yay. That's not yay.
For me, it's a big yay.
No, you can't leave me.
I'm going to Raleigh over the weekend.
You've got me all buttered up on this first month, and you're leaving me.
Yeah, sorry, man.
So there will be no 5 o'clock tomorrow, no 5 o'clock Friday. We're not going to do it. We don't have you-know-what things around here.
We whole-ass things.
That's right.
And half-ass, we whole-ass.
And I can't do it. I can't argue myself. What am I going to do, argue myself? I mean, AI Cole versus Cole. I mean, come on now, really? What are we going to do here? So we will continue. We will pick up the 5 o'clock fight again. Oh, we just had a really good submission. And we're not going to say it on the air, on the text line, Diesel. Last text on the very top text. Not going to read it, but a very good submission. Texter, let's see, from the 344.
Oh, man.
That's a good one. We're using it. How about Monday? We'll put it on Monday's 5 o'clock fight. We will get back to it on Monday. I like it.
Yes, we will. Cole, we'll be back guns blazing on Monday. When we come back, if you've got a daughter in sports, this story ought to really piss you off. It's coming up next. I'm not going to give it away until we come back. I don't want to get mad about this with 4 minutes to go. I don't want to get mad about this early, but I am going to get mad about this in about 4 minutes. It's coming up next here on Wire to Wire. He's Cole Bryson. I'm Diesel. This is The Fan Upstate. You know, it's funny, Cole, when it comes to my team and all Group of 5 football, all I want is inclusion. All I want to do is have the chance to get into the college football playoff. But inclusion is not always good across the board. You know, including everybody all the time is not necessarily the best thing. Like, you can't have certain takes where you say, I'm all for inclusion all the time, no matter what. Doesn't really work that way. Sometimes inclusion is a bad thing. Sometimes inclusion is actually hurtful, like what's happening right now in West Virginia.
Ooh.
The Harrison County, West Virginia Board of Education, Cole, banned 5 middle school track athletes.
Okay.
I didn't realize they played, you know, you could run track in middle school, but you can.
Okay. After
refusing to throw shot put against a transgender boy in a meet.
Okay, stop for a second. Let my brain catch up.
Yep.
They suspended the girls.
Yep.
For not wanting to throw
boy.
shot put against the trend. Okay, all right.
Okay, it's
okay,
first of all, again, shocking to me that a state who just figured out how to turn the lights on, has shot put in middle school athletics.
Yeah,
like, wow, that's crazy.
First thing I'm thinking is good for them.
I thought the height of sports in West Virginia was horseshoes
with toilet seats.
Yeah.
I'll let you continue, but my first thought is good for them. Yeah. Good for the girls, right?
So the girls were in a competition back on April 18th.
Okay.
That followed the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling to block the West Virginia Save Women's Sports Act. So there was a political push to save women's sports, to essentially make sure that no boys, no transgender boys could compete in women's sports.
Sure.
But the West Virginia Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals blocked that act. They blocked the act that would block trans boys from competing again in women's sports.
To allow it, right? They blocked the block.
Right. Okay. So what happened was these 5 girls, they didn't do some in-your-face protest. They were out there yelling on megaphones. They just refused to throw. They showed up. They put on their uniforms. They got to the little circle where you throw the shot put, and they just handed it to the next person in line.
So you're telling me you can protest without bringing violence into it?
Yeah, maybe those kids up there at Columbia could figure something out.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. So little civil disobedience.
Okay.
You know, they said that the demonstration that they didn't disrupt the meet on the whole. It took about 10 seconds apiece for them to walk out there, say, nope, I'm not doing this, hand it to somebody else.
Good for them.
So it was less than a minute's worth of protest. And these 5 girls were banned from competition for that. Now, Cole, parents of 4 of the Lincoln Middle School students who protested, what happened to the other one? Balls drop off? Number 5 didn't want to join in? Well, they have filed a lawsuit. And according to a press release from Attorney General Patrick Morrissey's office, the suit argues that the students' protest lasted approximately 10 seconds each and did not disrupt the track meet in any way and did not affect any other competitors. The lawsuit argues that the girls' First Amendment rights are being violated. Meaning they don't have the right to say, no, I'm not going to compete against boys. Now, I genuinely wonder, Cole, and you and I grew up in different eras from each other, and we grew up in very different eras from today.
Sure.
But I can't imagine, Cole, that the general politics of upstate of South Carolina are super, super different from the general politics of the state of West Virginia. When you would think both are fairly conservative. That's not a diehard rule. I'm just saying you would think generally conservative in South Carolina, generally conservative in West Virginia. But we're woking middle school sports to the point where we're blocking 5 girls who say, I don't want to compete against boys. And I say, good for them. I mean, do you think the girls are really the ones with these diehard political beliefs, or do you think it's the parents?
I'm sure it's the parents
who have said, little Susie, I know you want to go out there and throw shot put, but don't do it because we got to make a political statement? Or do you think the girls actually said, this isn't fair?
You know what's unbelievable, man? Like, the world that we live in, Diesel, you do what you feel is right by peacefully protesting something, and you're wrong. Like, that's the world we live in. So these parents of the 4, they're the ones filing the lawsuit, right?
Correct.
So it argues that the students the protest didn't affect any other competition.
Mm-hmm.
It argues that the First Amendment rights are being violated.
Remember back in the day, one of the most powerful images we have in sports, Cole, is Tommy Smith and John Carlos in 1968 putting their black-gloved fists in the air at the Olympics. That is one of the most powerful images we have of peaceful protest in sports. Those two guys are applauded for protesting in a peaceful way. Yet these 5 middle school girls are being banned from competition for doing the exact same thing.
You may have said this, and if you did, I apologize. Why did the parents feel like it was necessary to file a lawsuit? Does it say?
Because they're trying to protect their daughters and their.
Was there pushback though? I wonder, like, was there pushback when those 4 girls decided not to compete against the
trans boy?
The trans boy. Was there pushback that made them feel like they had to push for a lawsuit? Was there pushback from the school? From the
parents of girls don't want to see their daughters' attempts at athletic greatness completely squandered by
I agree.
A boy coming in and being more athletic.
Completely agree. I'm not taking anybody's side. I'm saying that I think that I agree with what you said in terms of they shouldn't be competing against a boy. I just was curious if there was any pushback from the school or anything in terms of, I wonder why they just didn't go compete.
You know how it is. Schools, companies, they all feel like they have to be on the side of the left in these situations. So, I mean, I assume that, how everything is, there's a reason for it. There's probably a lawsuit at some point that got them into the situation where they feel like they have no other choice but to back the left on this. So this quote here comes from West Virginia Senate President Craig Blair on Tuesday on behalf of the Senate Majority Caucus, condemning the move and saying in part, quote, "We condemn Harrison County schools for taking punitive action against 5 student athletes who chose to exercise their right to step out of their recent track and field event to protest unfair competition in sport, the risk of their personal safety, and the court decision that allowed a male to compete against them. The rules that govern the West Virginia Secondary Schools Activities Commission specifically outline the procedure for addressing a team or student who leaves a playing field in protest, including the consequences of those protest actions. Despite that procedure being clearly defined in Code of State Rules, Harrison County Schools unilaterally decided to punish these female students by prohibiting them from competing in their next track meet." Now, I wonder, to me, it feels like a stretch to say a risk of their personal safety to say that. I'm totally down with the unfair competition in sport.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how much more speed a middle school boy has compared to a middle school girl. Like, we talk about grown athletes and how a 26-year-old male sprinter is going to be way faster than a 26-year-old female sprinter because their bodies have developed. I don't know how a middle school body can,
sure,
can they compete against each other relatively close? I don't know.
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
So they're ultimately, parents are trying to protect their daughters in sports.
And they should. They should 100%. I just cannot believe that in 2024, like, I'm just thinking, Diesel, if I would have told you when you were growing up and when I was growing up playing sports as a kid through middle school, when you and I were both in middle school, if you would have told us and told our parents then that one day me and you were going to be sitting on the radio talking about girls having to protest because they didn't want to play against a trans girl, like, you could not have convinced me in 19 or early 2000, whatever, that we would be talking about this today.
Well, you'd be asking me if when I was a kid and there was a movie called Ladybugs, it had Rodney Dangerfield in it.
Uh-huh.
And in that movie, there was a male soccer player who got banned from soccer because, I don't know, he broke a lot of rules. I don't know, whatever it was. But he puts a wig on and a skirt on and goes out and plays women's soccer. And he absolutely dominates.
Yeah.
If you had told me then that was going to be real life one day, I would have laughed at you.
I would have too.
Look, Cole, I can't imagine what it's like to be a trans person. I can't imagine what it's like to be going through that in your head, in your body, in your heart. I can't imagine what that's like.
I agree.
But we have to be pragmatic here and understand if you're born biologically male and you've had testosterone running through your veins and building your muscles and your joints and making you taller, making you stronger, you can't just suddenly take that away and compete on the same level as girls.
Yeah.
You can't do it. So what blows me away about this, Cole, is that they will ban women from competing in women's sports, but they won't ban men from competing in women's sports.
Sure.
That's unfathomable to me.
Sure. Paging Dawn Staley to see what she has to say about that.
Yeah, let's ambush her in a press conference about this.
That's a good, it's sad. It is reality though, because it's happening everywhere and it sucks, but it is reality. I never thought we'd be sitting here talking about this, but here we are.
I mean, Leah Thomas goes from rank 500 something in the world to first in the world.
I pray, Diesel, that one day, I don't know if it's going to take politicians or who it's going to take. I pray that we can get our heads on straight one day and say enough of this. This is not, why are we overcomplicating this? This is a very simple issue. Were you born a male? Were you born a female? End of story. I hope one day, again, Cole's opinion, I hope one day we can get to that.
I mean, I would love to hear from our audience members who have daughters.
Sure.
If this was you and your daughter had been banned or was in this competition, would you want your daughter to go out there and compete and say, hey, you know, if you get second, you actually won?
Yeah.
Like if you come in second, you really won this competition.
It's sad.
Or would you hold them out?
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to put that kind of political pressure on your little girl? We're talking about middle school girls here.
Sure.
Right? So that's what, 13, 14 years old?
Yeah,
it is. Do you really want to do you want to indoctrinate that kind of politics into your 13, 14-year-old? Would you do it? Or would you say, hey, just go out there, do your best? Hey, the whole point is do your best, right?
Sure. It's a good question. Before we get to a break, I will give an Atlanta Braves update. We are now in the top of the 7th. Adam Duvall is at the plate for the Braves, and the Braves are up 5-1. Top of the 7th, one runner on. So knock on wood, barring something catastrophic, it looks as if the Braves may avoid the sweep. The top of the 7th is now done, and we are heading to the bottom of the 7th in Seattle. Not a good stretch.
Game at a normal time, things happen.
Yeah, not a good last 2 days for the Braves. Hopefully they can figure the hitting slump out.
We got a lot of texts on this, Cole. Texter asks, how are you trans in middle school? This is absurd. Tell him
I agree with that.
Against males. Texter says trans girls, Diesel. They're not boys anymore. Just an FYI. Looking out for you. Don't want you to get canceled, says Sheezy. No, Sheezy, they're trans boys. They're not trans girls, they're trans boys. Texter says, you guys should research this topic and talk more about it. It's happening everywhere. Girls are losing their ability to compete against girls. Texter says they should protect their daughter's right to compete, but their freedom of speech wasn't violated because they did get to protest. No one stopped them from protesting. There is a point there, Texter. There is a point. What's crazy, Texter says, his parents are probably playing into this because they want the next big star athlete, and they want the. This is a tough one. These long messages. We'll get to that one in a second. I'm a father of 2 sons and can't imagine telling them to go beat a girl in sports. They will be taught to be a gentleman, says Spur Daddy.
All right, coming up next, you call them headlines, we call them daily wires. This is Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. We'll update you on what's going around the sports world next. We were going through some data, some analytics this morning, as well as during the break. And as Diesel pointed out during the break, in the past week, Diesel, we have over 700 downloads from our show.
Love it.
And I could not be more ecstatic. I want to say thank you to our listeners, our Tolos. That stands for Turn It On, Leave It On. 700 downloads in 1 week, and we're just getting started, Diesel. Just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. We really appreciate the messages that we've seen, the texts, the calls here in the first month and a half.
And I love using that kind of stuff, Cole, as research. It tells us what the listeners
Absolutely. It's now time.
Give you what you want. Give you more of what you want.
It's time for some daily buzz, some daily wires. Let's see what's going on around the sports world. Atlanta dropped a game last night, 3-2 to the Mariners. So the Mariners won the series. However, we're heading now into the top of the 8th. Did that say 5-2?
It'd say 5-2.
So Seattle got one on the board, one more on the board, rather. So the Braves have a 5-2 lead right now. Hopefully, 2 more innings to go. Hopefully, the Braves can avoid the sweep out in Seattle. They are off tomorrow. Tomorrow, Diesel, quick programming note, I'll have Michael Duarte. You remember Michael?
I do.
LA reporter.
Love it.
The reason is he was fantastic. And you know what he said to us on the air? He said, look, when the Dodgers play the Braves, have me back on. Well, guess what this weekend is? Dodgers and the Braves. So we're having Michael on tomorrow. Today's your Friday. So I will be solo the next 2 days, and I will have Michael Duarte on tomorrow. I'll have Shane Connick to talk a little NASCAR with us on Friday.
I'm a little peeved that I don't get to be here to talk to Shane Connick. That dude is energy personified.
That's great.
He and Rob Brown could power a city.
They could.
Their energy.
They could. He's fantastic. He really is. Great NASCAR insider, and we'll have him on Friday. Carolina Hurricanes, Diesel. Take round 1 last night. 6-3 win over the Islanders, and they advance to the second round. Do we know who they're going to play yet?
Don't know yet. Let's see. NHL playoffs. You asked me that?
I'm sorry. I did put – that was my fault. I'm going to look – Stars are playing tonight, by the way, trying to take a 3-2 lead. I don't think the Carolina Hurricanes – no, the Hurricanes' opponent has not been decided.
No, it is. It's the Rangers. They'll play the Rangers.
Oh, I'm missing that then.
Yeah, they
Where do you see that? What day?
This is round 2. Don't know when when round 2 starts.
Gotcha. I didn't see that on mine.
They will play the Rangers.
Thanks, ESPN app.
I had to go to NHL.com to find the bracket. No, Cole.
I don't know. I don't know if I like that matchup.
I don't either. The Rangers are really good. That's a tough matchup. Whoever wins that matchup is going to be set up really well.
Wow.
No, like I'm looking here at the box score, Cole, and I remember saying after their Game 3 win that Carolina was peppering the Islanders goalie, and they were killing the Islanders in shots on goal, and that was not the case in Game 4. It was fairly even in Game 4. Shots on goal, 38-24. When you're getting 14 more shots in a game than your opponents, you're going to hit some of them, right?
Yeah.
You're going to hit some of them. So that's the key. The Hurricanes just have to keep slapping shots at the goalie. And, I mean, it was fantastic to watch. They were up 3-3, and then they scored 2 goals in a matter of about 10 seconds in that game, and that just put it away. There was no way the Islanders were coming back from that.
Philly beat New York last night, 112-106 in overtime. New York still leads the series, however, 3-2. Diesel, Tyrese Maxey last night. I don't know if you have seen the video. If you have not, I'll play it for you during the break. Tyrese Maxey hit a 3-pointer to tie the game at the buzzer from the logo. One of the most incredible playoff shots that I can remember. Unbelievable to force overtime. Really good game last night. Cleveland leads 3-2 over Orlando. They won by 1 point last night. The Bucks defeated the Pacers. However, the Indiana Pacers still lead the series 3-2. 2 wide receivers, Diesel, yesterday. Former Nevada wide receiver Dalvion Campbell and former Florida State receiver Vandravius Davis both have committed to South Carolina. Vandrevius may be more of a depth guy. However, Davion Campbell last night, he's had 2 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons.
Do you think his nickname in middle school was Vandrevius Davius? I like alliteration.
Vandrevius. That's tough. Now I can't even say
Davis.
his name right. I think Vandrevius will be a depth guy. I really do. I could be wrong. I don't see Vandrevius being an immediate impact guy for South Carolina. However, Davion Campbell from Nevada, that's a big pickup.
He's the one who's 6'4"?
He is 6'4". Whew. South Carolina has a little height now.
Getting a little depth there. South Carolina's secondary receiving core could be really good next year.
Turner on the stream says he also hit an and one down by 6, talking about Tyrese Maxey. I did see that one. That was just as impressive. Listen, Turner, I love Tyrese Maxey, but what I don't love is how players create contact to draw a foul. The play that Turner's talking about with Tyrese Maxey, the and one down by 6, Diesel, he does a great job of hitting a shot. However, you know how players do in the NBA, he launched in, not only in at an angle to the defender, initiated and created contact, shot, made the shot, and got fouled and had a 4-point play. To me, it's not a foul when you create the contact.
Have they been calling that in NCAA basketball when 3-point shooters kick their foot out to try to get the contact?
Sure.
They've been calling that. Where's the NBA? Well, they don't call anything in the NBA.
I'm with you. I don't like it. Lastly,
unless it's a foul on somebody guarding LeBron, in which case they'll call it.
That's not true. That's not true. Hush up over there. Lastly, Diesel, the best wire of the day. Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. I've got to go visit this place now. They troll David Tepper once again with a brand new sign. What's the new sign say, Diesel?
Hats off to the new Panthers. Love it.
That is so classic, man.
Love it. Man, I want to go spend money with this bar because of that.
I want to go.
We're driving through Charlotte tomorrow, Cole.
I go a good bit.
Back on the way Friday. I might have to stop at this bar.
Please do.
I might have to stop at this bar and get a photo with the sign.
Please do.
That is on my to-do list.
That'd be
how far it takes us out of the way.
I can't wait. All right, Diesel, what's coming up next?
On the way next, Cole. You and I will. You caught me looking at the wrong part of the.
I'm going to clip that audio too.
Yeah, you did. You caught me. When we come back, Cole, we're going to have our interview replay that we had earlier in the show with the morning show host of 680 The Fan in Atlanta. We're going to bring back Hometeam Brandon Leak, morning drive co-host of The Locker Room. We're going to talk Kirk Cousins. We're going to talk Michael Penix Jr. We're going to talk what the hell were they all thinking? That's next here on Wire to Wire. I'm Diesel. He's Cole Bryson. This is The Fan Upstate.
just jealousy getting to you? Be the house on the block they envy. Just get to CarolinaTopDressing.com and sign up for your free quote. Since 2007, Carolina Top Dressing has been transforming, smoothing, and nourishing lawns around upstate South Carolina. We are passionate about giving you the healthiest yard on the block, residential or commercial, with top dressing, aerating, and overseeding services. Trust Carolina Top Dressing with your curb appeal. CarolinaTopDressing.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free. With zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Turn on, leave on.
There's a new feature with iPhones and iOS 17 called Personal Voice. You have to record in a whole bunch of phrases, and then it creates a voice print, an AI version of your voice. And we thought, what would be more fun than creating versions of our voices and then making the other person say things that they would never actually say on the radio.
All right, here's Diesel. You ready, Diesel?
Brad Brownell's the best coach ever. He deserves a lifetime contract, and I will never talk bad about Big Bad Brad again.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Okay, so here's the next thing that Cole Bryson would never say on the radio.
If Jerry Jones can't win the Super Bowl this year, I'll give up and become an Eagles fan.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
Turn on, leave on. Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFPC HD3 Greenville, the official sports voice of the Upstate Fan. Odyssey Sports Station. You ready? Let's go. From the fields to the courts, and the gridirons to the tracks,
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
you're going wire to wire.
He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. This is Wire to Wire on the Fan Upstate. Appreciate you being a part of the program each and every day, 3 to 7 p.m. Last week, Diesel, we had home team Brandon Leak on draft day. It was a fantastic interview, fan favorite. We had a ton of positive feedback from our audience. And I told you on Monday after the Falcons did what they did, I said, man, Brandon Leak was so good last week. I want to hear his reaction. So we bring in from 680 The Fan, Morning Drive, home team, Brandon Leak. Hey, Brandon, last Thursday, I want to know if I would have told you in our interview that the Falcons would take Michael Penix, you would have said?
I would have said, get off of the microphone and drive yourself to an emergency room immediately as you have suffered some sort of head trauma that you are unaware of. Unprecedented, unbelievable, and still unreally decided whether or not it is a good pick, horrible pick, a pick that may turn out to be just fine, or something that just will have everybody scratching their heads for a lifetime.
He is home team Brandon Leak joining us on the show. Brandon, this is Diesel here. Thanks for taking the time with us again today. So in the last segment, Cole and I went starter by starter, all the guys, all the quarterbacks that were drafted in this draft, and we tried to predict when we thought each of these guys were going to be starters. Some of them were easy. You know, a lot of them were predicted to be starter immediately, especially the first-round guys. But it got a little murky, obviously, with Michael Penix. When do you think Michael Penix Jr. will be the starter? And I'm not talking Kirk Cousins goes down with an injury, but like the legit starter. I mean, Kirk is aging, but he's still a solid quarterback. You're paying him a ton of money. I predicted 2026 at the earliest, more like 2027. But Cole said you don't draft a quarterback in the first round without the intention of starting him.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. So when you start talking about a time frame, you're talking about if he is starting before 2 years, there has been a catastrophe. Either Kirk Cousins is injured, Kirk Cousins is awful, or the Falcons are awful. And if you have a quarterback starting before the starter you just paid $180 million takes you to the postseason or wins a postseason game, you have big problems and big financial problems as well.
I want to ask Brandon, in your opinion, because this is fascinating. It's what everybody's talking about. It's on all the national shows. What is home team Brandon Leake's best case scenario for this entire situation?
I think the best case scenario is that the Falcons find themselves in the postseason the next 2 years, and then at some point it is identified that Kirk Cousins may be on the downside or has reached his apex as the quarterback for the Falcons, or you just don't want to wait any longer for Michael Penix Jr. and you can find a dance partner. I don't know who that would be 2 years from now, if that would be a team like the Raiders or a team like the Seahawks that needs a veteran quarterback or a bridge gap guy kind of situation. But, you know, you don't want to have to root, if you are a Falcon fan, you don't want to have to root against Kirk Cousins because you want this guy to win. You want him to use the weapons. You want to see this guy throw a lot of touchdowns and, re-galvanize the Falcons fan base and the franchise with a new coach and new coordinator. But at some point, you have a $180 million quarterback. You have a backup quarterback at some point who will be making first-round quarterback and first-round draft team money. And at some point, what you want and what you need financially might not cross paths at the same time.
Brandon, how is Kirk Cousins handling this news? And we found out that Kirk had no knowledge of this until the Falcons were on the clock. That's when he got the phone call. I don't remember the exact verbiage that they used, but it was something in the range of disappointed or blindsided. It's been almost a week now. To your knowledge, how is Kirk and his camp taking this news?
Oh, he doesn't like it. Who would like it? First of all, what did you tell me? Did you tell me the truth? And you know what? If I knew all of this from the beginning, would I have stayed or maybe worked out lesser numbers to stay in Minnesota? Those are the kinds of questions that arise when you have a situation where you don't have, honestly, with your quarterback. And so you have a situation now where Kirk Cousins is a little bit bothered. Now, he's a pro. He's already called Michael Penix Jr. He's already found a way to get in early for some of the voluntary workouts and have some conversations and have some time with his offensive lineman. But you can't tell me a veteran quarterback is going to be sitting in the room with his replacements waiting for one bad moment, one bad string of games, or knock on wood, hopefully it's not a bad injury, and the guy is going to be taking his job sooner than he thought, which was probably 4 years from now.
You can follow him on Twitter, Hometeam Brandon, or Hometeam B Leak, at Hometeam B Leak on Twitter. He is Brandon Leak. Hey, I want to ask this. Your morning drive show, I'm sure this was incredible on Monday and even all the way up to today, Brandon. But what has been the reaction from your audience in Atlanta?
Shock and awe. I mean, the good thing is we are morning drive, so you do have to be responsible and follow FCC regulations. The other side of that is you got a lot of day to go through a lot of bourbon, and that's what's pretty much been knocking off the shock and awe of it. I mean, I would say the vast majority of Falcon fans are just head scratching and don't believe that this is a good move. And really the Falcons made a reach they didn't have to. I right now, believe it or not, I'm in a minority where I can see the thought process and I can see the backup scenario and the insurance policy for Kirk Cousins. And I could also see what the Falcons were saying. I attended a press conference yesterday with the assistant general manager. And one of the things he said was the last 4 years, they haven't been in a space where they could get a quarterback that they wanted. And now, while it is unconventional and certainly non-traditional, they know for the next 5 years, they are good at the quarterback position. That's a minority opinion. I can accept the explanation. I do not understand the process of spending all of that money on your quarterback room and not enough maybe on your defense that needs some help.
Well, the good news there, Brandon, is that in the draft, at least, it seems like that was a focus for the Falcons. Ruka Rororo at defensive tackle, Braylon Trice, Brandon Dorless. I mean, picks 2, 3, and 4, all defense. You got to feel pretty good about that. I mean, the defense was solid. It wasn't elite, but it was top half of the NFL last year. You got to feel like you're going to be able to stop some teams and maybe only have to outscore them by putting 2 or 3 touchdowns on the board.
Yeah, and there's the rub. Defense gave up about 21 points a game last year. Could it be better with a new defensive coordinator in Jimmy Lake and Raheem Morris, the head coach, to spend time on the defensive side of the ball? Could it have been better, though, will always be in the back of the minds of Falcon fans. If you could have gotten yourself a Ladarius Sneed, if you could have gotten yourself a Daniil Hunter, if you could have gotten yourself a Josh Allen or somebody who got a big contract or will be getting a big contract on the defensive side of the ball, and then taking Michael Penix Jr., I think people will feel more comfortable about that. When you don't fix those problems, get any of those people, none of the top 4 defensive ends or edge rushers in the draft, and you do go and get those defensive tackles and players, along with selecting no defensive backs in the draft, you just leave yourself open for a lot of criticism if the Falcons lose games because their defense can't come up with plays or they can't get off the field.
Brandon, I'm sure you guys have discussed this on your program, but now that the dust has settled with the Falcons 2024 NFL Draft, last year the Falcons 7-10, finished 3rd behind Tampa Bay and New Orleans in the South. Where do you think this team, we're in May now, we're only 3 months away from football. Where do you think this Falcons team ranks, stacks up in your mind in the South?
They should be the best team. And I say all of that that I said prior to that statement, in that you scored 17 points a game last year. There is no way with Kirk Cousins, no way with the assets you've invested in the draft for the offense that you should be scoring 17 points a game. So you should be in a position where you have to score points, you're scoring red zone touchdowns, and you're finding a way to win games at home and on the road. Kirk Cousins, while he is going to be looked at as a savior and a very good asset, he's got a responsibility. He took the $180 million. He has one playoff win in his career, and he's got to find a way to put a whole lot of people's angst to the side, and he needs some postseason victories repeatedly.
Is Terry Fontenot's job on the line this season? I mean, with the questionable decision with Kirk to go with Kirk Cousins, give him this huge contract as an aging quarterback, and then the first round big question mark we saw. I mean, I can't imagine that conversation there with the owner was a very positive conversation. It seems like he had a lot of explaining to do at that time. And if this all blows up in his face, could this be the reason he gets the axe?
He may have fought himself sometime. When you go in with Penix, there is some scuttlebutt about whether or not he bought himself some time, because you don't know if it's a complete failure until Michael Penix gets out there. If he's not that good or not that guy, yeah, he's got a big problem. If Kirk Cousins and the Falcons offense isn't improved and they don't make the playoffs this year, his buns are certainly on the hot seat. But I don't know if you fire a guy who, when he first got the job a couple of years ago, he got hired after the head coach got hired, which was insane to me. And then the head coach got fired. And then he just picked his first quarterback, and then he picked this other quarterback in the draft for the first time. So I'm thinking you got to give a GM a chance to get some say-so on his head coach, get some say on his quarterback, and then give his new staff and the team a couple of years. But based on the eye-popping decision to go with Michael Penix Jr., who knows? His time and his clock could be very much accelerated.
Home team Brandon Leak, Morning Drive co-host, The Locker Room, 680 The Fan in Atlanta. Brandon, you're absolutely fantastic. We love your work, but before we let you go, the Braves slumping a little bit right now, struggling to hit the ball. What's the reaction from your audience?
It's the 162-game season. You're coming off a historic year offensively with your offense, and the bottom line is some guys at the top of the lineup just aren't hitting. Ronald Acuna Jr. is down to 245, and the guy with the most home runs and had the most RBI in baseball last year, Matt Olson, He's nearing the Mendoza line, batting 202 after a 3-2 loss against the Mariners and 2 strikeouts last night. So I think overall what we saw last year was this team has the potential when everybody is clicking to do some damage. And right now, the top of the order, you can also throw in Austin Riley. He's just not where a lot of people thought he would be. If the top of the order can get themselves together, I think Braves baseball that we saw last year will look a lot like we want it to this year.
Brandon, fantastic stuff. We appreciate you taking time to hop on with us in your busy day, and we look forward to talking to you again soon, buddy.
I will be personally offended if you don't have me on again.
Absolutely. Man, he's the best. Brandon Leak, I'm going to go on record and say it. He's the best. I absolutely love anytime we get to have him on, Diesel.
You know what I want to find out from our Tolos. Who is their favorite guest that we have on?
Oh, man, we had some good ones. Had some good ones.
That's not meant to throw any shade at anybody.
No,
if you pick
no.
Brandon Lee, that's not to throw any shade at Shane Connick. If it's Shane Connick, that's not to throw any shade at Jake Mastriani. But who is your favorite guest that we bring on?
You mean on a regular
basis?
Oh, okay. So you can't throw the Dawn Staley's out.
Well, I mean, that's not fair. That's not fair.
I love it, man. I love it. We've started strong here in the first month and a half, however long we've been doing this crazy.
28, Cole.
28. So that means not even a month.
Not even a month.
Oh, I thought it was a month already.
Well, Friday will make 6 weeks.
Okay, so it is a month. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot.
You're just bad at math.
Yeah,
Okay.
really,
We
really
use
bad.
Words around here, not numbers.
Really, really bad. The Atlanta Braves are currently trying to avoid travesty. What do I mean by that? Well, it's 5-2, bottom of the ninth. However, the tying run is at the plate.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Runners on first and second.
We can't do play-by-play,
Bottom of the
but we
ninth.
can summarize before we hit a break.
And Iglesias, the right-hander, winds up for the pitch.
Seattle.
Zooms it in there.
Oh, no.
Lower,
Oh, no. Okay,
lower
good.
Away.
Good.
High fly ball. Deep center field. Running in. He makes the catch.
All right, so that will be the second out.
Michael Harris Jr. with a basket catch.
It's a good catch by Michael Harris. The Braves still have a 3-run lead. However, they're still 1 out away from closing the game. Listen, I'll say this.
My first ever attempt at baseball play-by-play.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah?
It's fantastic. I think you should
Going to be a award winner at some point?
chase your dreams. Chase your dreams. You know, I'll say this about the Braves right now. No, they're not hitting the ball well. The good thing is they've given themselves a little bit of cushion with the wins they've stacked up. Yeah, Philly's still on their tail pretty hot in the East. But you know, Brandon Leak said it. We've said it a million times. It's a long season.
It's a cyclical game.
You're going to go through slumps. I thought the 2 out of 3 against Cleveland was a very good
0-2
win.
now. 0-2 down to their final strike, the Seattle Mariners.
I thought the Braves took care of business in a really nice way against Cleveland. I thought they would do the same against Seattle. Seattle's an up-and-coming team. They haven't been really good as of late, but they do have some young talent that they're up and coming. They really are. So hoping to avoid the sweep, obviously, on this final out if the Braves can close it, and it's going to be a grounder and that's it.
Pitcher.
Ball
There
game.
you go. Ball game, Braves.
Braves win. So
As Iglesias points to the sky.
they avoided the sweep, and now let's see. That should do. Let's do the
If
Phillies.
you're a Mariners fan, which I assume we don't have very many.
I was going to say.
as a kid, I grew up a Mariners fan just because of Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was a Braves fan through and through, but every kid wanted to have that swing like Ken Griffey Jr. I used to have the VHS videotapes that would teach you how to swing like Ken Griffey Jr.
That's amazing. The Braves are now 20-9 on the season as far as the division goes. Washington does play today. Let's see, Philadelphia. I don't see. Oh, Philly's playing right now. They're beating the Angels, and the Braves are off tomorrow. The Braves have a day off, which is really good because they're going to get tested this weekend. We're going to see if they can get out of this slump because they're playing arguably the best team in baseball, one of the best, in the L.A. Dodgers. That will be in L.A., so they're going to stay on the West Coast, Diesel. It looks like it'll be Uncle Charlie Morton on Friday night. On Saturday, it will be for the Braves, Bryce Elder. And do the Braves have Sunday night baseball again? No, they don't. 4:10 on Sunday. Max Fried will get Sunday. So you'll have Morton, Elder, and Fried for the rotation for the Braves. One texter says, I think it's promising that the Braves haven't been hitting well and still have one of the best records in baseball, says Shiji. Completely agree, right? At the end of the day,
You're winning.
You're winning games, right? You lost 2 of 3 to Seattle.
There's no power rankings going into this late in the season.
Yeah, you didn't want to lose to Seattle, but you know what? It happens. It happens. You're about to go up against the Dodgers. It's always a great series. I think the Braves, I think the Braves have a good chance.
They better get hot now, or they're going to get embarrassed.
Well,
by the Dodgers.
They've got to start hitting the ball a little bit better. I like their matchups with pitching. Like I said, Morton Friday, Elder Saturday, and then Max Fried on Sunday. James on the chat says Chris Sale looks to be a decent pickup, to say the least. I would agree with that as well. He listen. The book on Chris Sale was he's going to be fine as long as he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, the Braves will be okay. However, Chris Sale and injuries have flirted with each other for a very long time. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully I'm not jinxing the Braves here, Deez.
And we can see, Cole, that James is watching us live on YouTube. Do us a favor, James. If you are not already, which I'm sure you are because you're a very good boy, you're a very good Tolo, but if you're not already, you have a chance to make it up, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button on YouTube.
So many ways, what I love about this show, Wire to Wire, before we hit a break. So many ways for you, the listener, to get involved, plugged in with the show. If you can obviously listen to us on traditional radio, 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 Greenville, and anywhere in the world online on the Odyssey app. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We're everywhere, man. James said he did subscribe, so we appreciate that, James. We are literally everywhere.
Yep.
Diesel, when we come back, some new news broke today on your boy.
Yeah?
Your boy,
Yeah.
Ipe.
Oh.
Some new news has come out.
I don't know where this is going, Cole, but I remember we argued about this on the 5 o'clock fight once, where you said it was over, it was done.
Yes. Well,
I said something else is going to come out, but I don't know what this is yet.
Okay, gotcha.
I have not heard this yet.
Neither does the
Excited.
listener, hopefully. If the listener hadn't been surfing the web this morning, they won't know either. We'll tell you what it is. Up next, he's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson, and this is the Fan Upstate. 71307. Start your text with the word fan, and we will most likely read your text as long as it's not an FCC violation. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. This is Wire to Wire. Shohei Ohtani, Diesel, one of the most fascinating stories that we had line up perfectly when we started this very show. So we got to talk about this off the bat. A little bit of new news broke today regarding Ipe, your boy. I can't say his name really well, but I attempt to. I think I said it right that time. Ipe. Millions stolen from Shohei Ohtani's account. They have done an investigation. I don't know if they're finished with it, but they have found that it was funneled to a bookie via. You want to take a wild guess at this? How the money went from
used Venmo.
No. It does start with V. So the money stolen from the bookie. From Ipe, from Shohei's account, went from Shohei's account to Ipe, funneled to the bookie. But what was it funneled through to the bookie? It does start with a V. A Vegas casino.
Oh.
So Ipe's a smart man. He said, I'm going to use a Vegas casino to funnel the money. So
how exactly does that work? Does he put it into his gambling account? Now, are you laughing because this is stupid, or are you laughing because this is possibly the only smart thing he did?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay. I need
yes.
some details.
Yeah. Okay. So the series of $500,000 payments Ipe sent from Shohei's bank account Diesel to an illegal bookie were forwarded to California and Las Vegas casinos, where the money was deposited into gambling accounts, converted to playing chips, and later cashed out by the bookie.
Okay.
This is kind of smart, right?
Okay, so Ipe didn't have to. I mean, he didn't send the money directly. That's smart. You don't send that money directly. You
It's smart. Thank you for.
So that's maybe the only smart thing he did. So he puts it into a gambling account that can only be accessed at Jim's Casino.
Sure.
And then
this is fantastic.
I don't understand why. So the bookie will go to Jim's Casino. He'll take the $500K out in gambling chips, walk around for a while, go back to the cashier's table and say, hey, could you convert this for me so I can have cash?
So Matthew Boyer, the California bookmaker who took Ipe's bets. So now we have a name, Diesel, of the bookie, Matthew Boyer. He was a frequent customer at those Las Vegas casinos.
Do we have any idea, Cole, if Matthew, say Baker?
Boyer.
Do we have any idea if Matthew Boyer knew that Ipe was Shohei's interpreter? I guess it's possible you could just recognize him on TV, right? Like you're a sports bookie, you're watching a Dodgers game, it's the local team, and you see this guy on TV who is translating for Shohei Ohtani, and then
no.
somehow
Boyer had to know, remember? Because if Boyer was the bookie,
he had to know Shohei Ipe was making the bets.
Weren't the bank statements going to the bookie with Shohei's? I thought and again, I'll ask Michael Duarte this tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure the bank statements had Shohei's name on the statements. So the sources, Diesel, told ESPN that Ipe paid his losses to Boyer's associate, who forwarded the money to his own marker accounts at Resort World and Pechanga Resort Casino in Southern California. The men then withdrew chips from the marker account, gambled with them, and if they won, they cashed out. That is
even more money.
Wild, man.
It's like they're taking a vig off of these bets.
It gets better. Boyer, who's 49, he lost $7.9 million at Resorts World from from June 2022 to October 23. So just over a year, 7.9 gone, according to multiple sources. After Boyer's home, this gets better and better. Listen to this. After Boyer's home was raided by the feds on October 5th, he was dubbed a known bookmaker and banned from those casinos and every casino in the United States of America.
Ouch.
Diesel, there's no way this is real.
I want to know, Cole. Like, I guess at that point it's his money, right? It's once it goes into his marker accounts and he withdraws it, it's his money to do with what he pleases, right? He is the bookie.
I guess so.
It's
yeah,
his money. He can do what he wants. But he's out there losing money, $8 million worth almost, and a good chunk of that was Shohei's money. So Ipe's losing money, and then the bookies, gosh, Shohei's losing twice.
So that one resort, Diesel, here's the question. What's going to happen to them? Multiple sources told ESPN that Resorts World in Southern California is at the center of what federal authorities described in an affidavit as an investigation into illegal sports bookmaking organizations operating in Southern California and the laundering of the proceeds of these operations through casinos in Las Vegas. So they were laundering the winnings through the casinos. 12 people have been charged or convicted to date, and 2 Vegas casinos have agreed to pay fines. According to that one affidavit, Resorts World, Diesel, was served a federal subpoena last August that sought, among other things, documents related to the anti-money laundering policies.
I would be interested to know, Cole. Here's where this could get even juicier. Were these casinos that were laundering money for these illegal bookies, did they have any idea that that's what they were doing? Did they have any idea that funds were flowing, illegal bookie money was flowing through their casinos? I mean, casinos aren't dumb.
No.
Right? Like I would have to imagine, like, granted, I don't know much about casinos. I don't know the inner workings of casinos, but I've watched a couple mob movies from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get the feeling, Cole, that these casinos are very good at researching who it is that's coming in and spending a lot of money. Like, if it's just you or I, and we walk in there and we gamble $2,500, they don't care about us.
No.
But if, Will from down the hall walks in and he's gambling $8 million and he's regularly putting $500,000 or more into his accounts.
Yeah.
And then withdrawing it and gambling it, I would think that these casinos would, do a little workup on these guys and find out who they are. Instead of saying, hey, this is just Joe Anonymous who walks in and gambles, I would think that they would want to cover their own asses and not like hire a private eye to go find them, but like do a background check on them, right? As much as you can find legally on these guys.
So here's what's interesting. Unlike sports books, like if you download DraftKings or whatever, you have to give the money, send the money, and then play, right?
Yep.
Bookies allow people to bet on credit.
Sure.
Ipe, who was one of more than 600 bettors in Boyer's book. So Boyer, the guy who got in trouble, Ipe was one of 600. Ipe, Diesel, ran up a debt in 1 year of $40.7 million. That is unreal.
I don't know what it's like to be a gambling addict, but at what point do you just say, man, I'm not good at this? I'm not good at this.
Real.
Though then I have heard, Cole, that 75% of gamblers quit just before they win. Which is a joke.
It's a joke.
It
took me a second. Yeah, it took me a second. I thought, man, that's wise knowledge.
Man,
maybe I should take more. Yeah. So
that's
this whole story, man. This is Shohei is scot-free, right? Shohei's over here playing baseball, and none of this is affecting him because he's convinced everyone that he had nothing to do with it. But this backstory, this isn't like a little bit of money that was swept. This is a illegal money laundering scandal that has been going on for, I mean, this is fantastic for the game of baseball, right? Do you think Ipe, Diesel, think about this, and I could be dead off on this. Do you think Ipe became Shohei's translator with this in mind?
No, there's no way that like you think
You don't
to
think
yourself.
it?
How long had he worked for the Dodgers before? Was he was his interpreter in Anaheim also, right?
I think so. He claims he
Okay.
was with the Mets one time too.
Okay,
But
so are we led to believe that Ipe is some mastermind who spotted Shohei as this mark from a mile away, and like what were they hanging out one day over their ability to speak Japanese, and they were. And Shohei's like, hey, by the way, I never check my bank accounts. I don't even look at it. The money just goes in. I don't look at it. And he's like, light bulb. I have an idea.
I don't know. I'm just asking the
I can
question.
get into his confidence, and I can help him out with these things. I can get his password.
This is unbelievable. So again, this is what we didn't know. Like, we didn't know how it happened. So if you're just catching this conversation, what happened was Matthew Boyer, the California bookmaker, the bookie that Ipe was using, he was a frequent customer at Resorts World. It's a casino in Southern California. Ipe paid his losses to Boyer's associates, who forwarded the money to his own marker accounts at Resorts World. The men then withdrew chips from the marker account.
Gambled with it.
Yep. And if they won, they took the money, which was already a profit, right? The profit from the chips came from the profit of the sports book.
Sure.
And they cashed out. So they didn't have to gamble, just so people know. They didn't have to gamble. Like people, maybe somebody's listening and thinking, why would they gamble and not just take the money from the very beginning? Well, they were laundering the money.
It also, to me, it would be more suspect.
Yes.
If I walk into a casino and I subtract $500K from my account in chips.
Yeah.
And then I walk straight to the cashier's table and I cash out $500K. I mean, that's clearly obvious what it is that you're doing at that point. So they have to go gamble it. And I'm sure they have this in their mind. They have some acceptable amount of loss where they can say, oh, well, we're going to go gamble. Oh, it was $500K. And, every now and again, if we lose, 250 grand of it, that's okay, because the next time we come back, we're going to win some of it back. And you got to win some, you got to lose some to make it not so obvious that that's what you're doing, right?
Someone texted me and asked me, what is a marker account? A marker account, a casino marker, it's a short-term, interest-free line of credit that casinos lend you, the gambler, so that you will gamble on their premises. Failing to repay casino markers, usually within 30 days, is a Category D felony crime that carries 1 to 4 years in prison.
These casinos have figured out a way to make it illegal to not pay them back.
Yes. So I'll tell you this crazy story before we hit a break. I had a friend that I met when I lived in Texas, worked for the Cowboys. After I was working, long story short, I was working for the Cowboys for 9 or 10 months. Started doing what I do now on the side in sales. And I had a client, a customer of mine, Diesel, who lived in Dallas. He was a middle-aged guy, super nice guy. I forgot his name. But he was a client of mine, and he told me a story about the casino that I used to go to frequently, which was across the Oklahoma border, north of Texas, right? You drive north Texas, you're in Oklahoma in an hour. He went one time. He was a frequent guy, not a big spender, but he went one time, Diesel, and won a significant amount of money at a casino. These are owned by Indians. True story. He tried to
Guardians.
leave.
You can't say Indians.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They're owned by Guardians.
Guardians. The wrong. You're right, Guardians. He tried to leave the casino with his amount of money that he won. He got beat up in the parking lot by the people from the casino.
What?
Yeah, took the money back.
Why?
I don't know. He
Because
wanted.
they thought he was cheating?
I don't know. I guess so. They beat him up. It's a true story.
Wow.
I swear to you, true story.
Now, do you know the number?
The amount?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was thousands and thousands of dollars.
Wow.
A lot of money. But you wouldn't think it was a significant enough amount of money that they would be like, oh, red flag.
Wouldn't you be able to? I mean, I know it's. I would assume, I could be wrong here, but I would assume that casino is probably on reservation land.
It is. Yes, in Oklahoma. The one that we go to or went to in Oklahoma. Yes, it was.
Do you have any? Again, we're getting off on a tangent here. Would you have any recourse to go to reservation police and say,
that's a good question.
Staff at this casino beat me up and stole my money, stole my legitimate winnings?
Can you imagine going to a casino, winning money, and then getting beaten up in the parking lot by people who run the casino? What a story to tell.
That's like the 1960s in Vegas all over again.
It's unbelievable, man. This story is wild.
Jeez.
Ipe, you may have been a bad man, but you tried to play it off the smart way. Hats off to you, buddy.
When we come back, Cole, we're going to take one last look at our daily wires. We're going to talk about Dave Tepper getting trolled yet again by the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill, and Charles Barkley takes a shot at a town in Texas, and they fired back.
I love it.
That's coming up next. As we close out Wire to Wire, he's called Bryson. I'm Diesel. This is the Fan Upstate.
today.
Game on. Gloves off.
Man, it is hard to pick a favorite host on NBA on TNT.
All of them.
Chuck is great. Shaq is great. Kenny is great. Man, Charles Barkley can do no wrong. He can say whatever he wants about anybody. And if he says something bad about you, you don't even have recourse.
True.
Because he's right. Charles Barkley was talking about the Pelicans. You know, they're eliminated from the playoffs. And Chuck said the team better not take a vacation to Cancun because Cancun is too nice for the Pelicans. So he had a suggestion, Cole, for where the Pelicans should go to celebrate their season. Here's Chuck.
Disappointing on us. Where they going, Chuck? Galveston. That dirty ass water. We're not even gonna send them to Cancun. We're gonna send them to Galveston with that dirty ass water be washed up on the shore. You people think they're in the beach. Y'all located. We y'all gonna send y'all to Cancun. Y'all drive y'all quit. Drive your ass down to Galveston. Come on, man.
That's incredible.
Drive your ass on down to Galveston.
You know what? Galveston people act like it is. It's not nice.
It's not.
I went twice when I worked in
Is
Dallas.
Galveston Myrtle Beach?
It's not near as crowded.
Okay.
Galveston is not like, I think it's bigger.
But are there Waves stores?
No wave stores. No
wings
sandals,
stores?
wings, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, the ones where you can get your hermit crabs and your airbrush t-shirts.
Yes, those are the best.
So Galveston responded
Oh,
to
God.
Chuck.
Surely not.
Quote, this is a spokesperson for Visit Galveston, Kimberly Denasi, CEO of Visit Galveston, told TMZ, quote, while Galveston might not be the place for Chuck, we'd be more than happy to host the New Orleans Pelicans and share our sun-kissed beaches, luxurious four-diamond resorts, exclusive spas, million-dollar beach homes, world-class attractions, and exceptional Gulf seafood. We are proud of our beautiful shoreline, hand-cleaned by our coastal zone management team 365 days a year and kept safe by our internationally recognized lifeguards.
Congratulations, Galveston. Congratulations. That's pitiful, but funny.
They need somebody over there with a sense of humor.
They do.
Kimberly, that was weak. That was weak.
I was Karen.
Finish him. Would you sweep the leg? Something.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
That's good audio from Chuck. He is the
I
best.
love Charles Barkley.
Only bad thing about that show is, it's probably the most popular basketball show, but I don't think – I could be wrong on this. I'd like to see some statistics because I'm sure they're out there. I watch it because I'm an NBA fan and I'll stay up late to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other night, I didn't go off until 1:15. However, I don't think their ratings on the East Coast hold a candle to what they do on the West Coast.
Oh, nobody's awake.
I mean,
Nobody's awake. I don't ever stay up late enough to watch the show.
That's
I
what I'm
watch
saying.
clips the next day.
It sucks, though, because the people on the East Coast, the New Yorks, the Miamis, who do love the markets that have basketball, that have NBA, I mean, they would
Then
love.
again, Cole, I'll be willing to bet that collectively, I don't know how you would total this up.
Yeah.
But I'd be willing to bet that collectively the clips, and if they've got a fantastic producer who's chopping this stuff up,
They do.
sending it out, especially when you got soundbite machines like Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal,
Yeah.
that clip by itself, Cole, has 10.2 million views
And probably will
On
get
Twitter.
double that.
just on Twitter.
Yeah.
10.2 million views. I'm going to do a little scroll down here of their media. See if I can find videos.
Mm-hmm.
Do me a favor and mute that so I don't actually accidentally play something over the air. 130,000 views, 275,000 views. 345,000 views.
Yeah, they're doing okay. They're doing okay.
560,000 views. And it just gets bigger the older the video gets, right? The ones that I started with were their most recent videos.
It's great, man. I love it.
They're doing great.
It's fantastic. I don't know how long it'll last. I hate the day I don't look forward to the day it dies, but one day it's going to. Like, for example, the other night, the Lakers Nuggets didn't start Diesel till 10. Here,
Who's staying up to watch that?
I did. If the only people that stay up to watch are the ones that love NBA, that love NBA, really. It didn't end until 12:15, 12:30, and they're on for 30 minutes or so. I mean, they're on until 1 a.m.
Hey, Daniel Tosh has that bit that God hates West Coast football fans because the early East Coast games are on while Californians are in church.
True.
God hates East Coast NBA fans.
That's true. Central time, as much as I love South Carolina, Central time is the best time. It really is. It's in the middle. You're not having to. I know it doesn't seem like it'd make a difference 1 hour, but it really does. I mean, it really does.
Cole, over the weekend, I'm going to be making my way up to Raleigh tomorrow and Friday. You'll be here doing the show. I vow to you, Cole, that I will stop by and give you a review on Monday of the Dilworth Neighborhood Bar and Grill in Charlotte.
Oh, that's great.
The infamous signs that they put up that troll Dave Tepper every chance they get. They go after him hard. I mean, there was the one last week that said, please let the coach and GM make the picks. Then Dave Tepper walks in, takes the hat off of the employee standing at the counter, the front door station. They hosted a brand new sign, Cole, that says, hats off to the new Panthers.
That is so good, man. Like, kudos to that owner for allowing it, whether it's him or the staff, whoever does that. Kudos to him, man.
So I'm Googling here the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill signs, and I guarantee you they're famous for a lot more.
That's great.
I mean, they put up signs constantly. This is their shtick, right? It's
part
of what
they do. Probably draws a lot of business.
Fantastic marketing. One sign here says the city says they are working 24/7. Comma, where? Another one says our landlord is not selling or redeveloping. Then there was the one, of course, that said, please let the coach and GM pick this year. I guarantee you, Cole, I am stopping by.
Yeah, you have
I
to.
am having some food. I mean, it's a neighborhood grill, so I assume it's burgers, pizza, wings, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I will be stopping by, and Trey asked this question, and yes, Trey, I will do it. I will stop by and give you a real review.
Kudos to you for doing that. I can't wait to hear about it.
Here's one that says the Empire State Building only took 410 days to build. I guess they're ripping the road crews in Charlotte.
What road crews are good at their job? Let's be honest, That's funny. I can't wait to hear about it. I'm jealous.
In Malden, they fill a pothole, and the filling is worse than the pothole.
It makes the bump worse.
Yeah, exactly. It went from a trough to a bump. Doesn't make any sense.
It's fantastic.
Flatten it out, boys.
I love it. All right, Diesel, today is his Friday.
See you on Monday.
So he will see us again on Monday. I'll be with you tomorrow and Friday. Coach Cherry on the stream, he did say, yep, they're located near the stadium also, talking about the bar. We will see you tomorrow. I'll be solo the next 2 days. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson, and this is Wire to Wire.
Coach Cherry, thank you much for jumping right in there at the tail end. Thank you, man. Do us a favor, Coach, if you haven't already, click the follow button on Twitter. Click the follow button on Twitter. That way you can keep up with us and jump in and be a Tolo each and every day. We thank you much for being here.